So where we left off last time, I have some things that I specifically want to get into, but in reviewing everything that I heard, I have heard this story before, I think, but would love more details. You referenced twice the cop pulling you over, and I know, if you want to like save that for whenever it fits better in the frame, that's fine. But as we're getting out started here, I would just wanted to offer the opportunity, if you're interested, to
Yeah.
tell the full cop pullover story.
Well, I mean, there was a lot going on in life, surrounding the incident.
And I would like to
But-
do episodes plural on that.
Yeah, I think we should, dude. I think we should. We got to think about how to do it. But yeah, because this is obviously much closer to the present. But I think it's like very True Detective.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was when I definitely was not officially fired. And that's my word anyway. I mean, it's like a very interesting, topic about which verb to use anyway. But I was in the middle of a transitional period for sure. And I think, I think my compensation structure had already been changed in a pretty serious way.
As a lawyer, you were a lawyer.
Yeah. And one of the interesting things that we've talked about and that I think about is like what my experience at Excel had to do with my selection of a profession and then like how I was in it, and like sort of my progression, but then ultimately, termination from my last employer. How much that related to my time at Excel. Because I think it's a lot. It was more than I initially thought. And I think...
I do think those are always hard questions, like sometimes
Yeah.
I will start to tell an elaborate story about how they connect and it's convincing to me. And then other times I'm like, it's just all some shit that happened and you're trying to draw, the connect these, like someone poured out some fucking salt and you thought it was connect the dots and you're doing your best, but someone just spilled salt, dude.
Yeah. No, I hear you there. I mean, I think, one thing is I would just say a lot of the emotions were similar. And I think that made that
That's fair. That's powerful.
Which means they're extreme. And so I was definitely more in like bold, be aggressive in your action in response to actions that I felt were aggressive, but maybe like passive aggressive, such as changing my compensation structure.
Yeah.
For reasons that I don't want to get into.
That feels aggressive, but yeah.
Very. But it was like acting like it was for your own good.
Yeah.
And it was, it's hard to get into detail on that, but it was exactly that same thing of people in authority being like, actually, this is the best thing for you, the thing that sucks the most. But I actually thought there's a concept in employment law called a constructive discharge. And it's when your employer doesn't officially fire you, but makes life so intolerable that a reasonable employee would feel that they had no choice but to quit. And, I haven't hit LexisNexis, or Westlaw research on it in a minute, but I suspect like taking your compensation to $0 without warning, effective. It was kind of a gray area when it was effective because the people that put together the terms that they unilaterally presented me were not as good as I am at drafting those kinds of documents. So actually I had to sit in the meeting. It was like being at Excel, dude, because I had to like help my oppressors with the written word.
Yeah.
Because I was like, actually the way you guys, I know what you're trying to do, which is like completely fuck me. You're actually in trying to close out this loop, pay me twice. Like you don't want to do that. And
Maybe you shouldn't have told him that.
Well, I kind of wanted to like mess with them a little bit, and I wasn't sure if they were recording the meeting. So, and I still don't know. But I wanted it on record, like how sloppy it was. And then because the person presenting it to me, I don't think was the person that drafted it. I'm not sure. But there were two people in the meeting. So then the other person, it was very satisfying. I mean, because she looked at it and was like, God, no, he's right. We have to redo this. So then their whole thing was like, part of it was that I was,
How much money would you have gotten if you were just quiet about it, though?
I mean, not much.
Okay.
Like,
Go ahead.
and I mean, I just thought it was interesting. And I don't know, dude. I was just like, you know, in Michael Clayton, like how he's like at the end, he's just like, the biggest thing that upsets me is how big of a mistake it was to try to kill me.
Yeah.
Instead of like trying to buy me off. That's how I was. It was
I'm
like,
the guy you pay.
yeah, like it was exactly that like feeling of like, I just have to let you know how big of a mistake you're making. Like, I just couldn't not do it, dude. Like the thing we were talking about where I was like, there's power in just sitting back, dude. It's like, I don't always do it, dude. Like, but like, I don't think they would have actually paid me twice. They would have like realized it down the road, and then, you know, who knows what would have happened anyway.
Yeah.
Like, once you see it, it's better, I think, to clear it up. Plus, I couldn't resist just being like, you can't even get this right. Plus, the whole thing with me, or one of the things, was that I wasn't responsive enough to like the management with respect to a lot of administrative shit. And I'm trying to think what the other thing was. I mean, that was a big thing. And so when I was like, well, when you redo the terms, like, when are you going to do it? Because I have to look at all this stuff. And they're like, we'll have it, you know, tonight or tomorrow or whatever. And then it took them like forever. Because I think they were just like in a position where they weren't sure what to do. And obviously I was hitting them with a lot of emails, you know, while this was going on. And there was a lot of other stuff going on. So I think they were just like not sure how to respond. So it was actually that all that was going on, and I was going to the office. So because I was still like, I had an office, I was still trying to do like client stuff. I'm going to take a sip of this.
Yeah.
But, so because I actually have laughed, it could be like, if it ever became relevant in litigation about my like attendance at work, that getting pulled over could become like an evidence. Or if my mental state, because I might have been like crazy when the cops started videotaping me. Like I might look crazy. I have no idea. But basically I was like, heading towards 30, and,
I mean, I don't want to push you. Do you want to remark on that any further?
Well, dude, it was like,
The looking crazy.
I'm not sure exactly what my mental state was at the time. I really don't know, dude. That takes like a lot of like time to like get into it, dude.
Okay.
But basically to bring it back, this is actually maybe more pre-Excel and then like early days of Excel, but it's like a not uncommon response when people in authority are like fucking with you, and I don't know, like when reality is like rearing its head, I guess, in a way that like is revealing that you need to look out for yourself. I think that's when like a certain group of people just respond with like, just like, I don't know. It's just like my doctor refused to say it was a manic episode. Like he wouldn't say it. He was just like, you need to sleep more. And that was like a super big moment for me, because he actually gave me employment law advice. Like, cause I was like, write it down. Like, cause I told him like all this stuff I was feeling. So basically like, yeah, when my fucking employer was trying to like completely fuck me over, and there was a lot of other stuff that was going on in my personal life that was just like very stressful. And I wasn't sleeping, and I have like a long history, I mean, the shifts are like a tenth of, some of my long-term issues with sleep anyway. So it's like, yeah. So I was in like a rough state, dude. But the thing was, like, no one at work was like telling me not to work. They were like, even though some people would be like, are you okay? Like, are people like literally sometimes someone would be like, are you on drugs? Because I would be talking so fast. But like, I have no diagnosis. I don't want to like self-diagnose. No, I'm not scared of any stigma or anything, but I think it's like a spectrum. And I think one of the things that like the ideas that I'm trying to like work out, but I think it's like more common than you think. It's just the spectrum. But super stressful periods like push me pretty far onto the higher energy part of it. So one of the things that will do is make you drive very erratically. So I don't know, dude. I might have been driving pretty like wildly, but not that crazy. Like the road wasn't a highway, so I couldn't have been going that fast. I mean, I don't think he even hit me with speeding. Maybe he did, but I think he got me for like changing 2 lanes at once. That's when he hit the siren. And then I pulled over like into a parking lot of an apartment. And he, like the cop, like from his car was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, you can't pull over here." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Get out, and pull over on the road." So I was like, "Okay." And then, so like,
Can't do a traffic stop in an apartment parking
you
lot?
definitely can, dude. I mean, I'm positive. I see them on the same road all the time, dude.
Yeah.
He was just, but thinking back on it, I think like my driving, he doesn't know me. He seemed to be like in an excited state too, which I get, dude. A crazy guy that like a guy who's driving, in his view, in a way that makes him put the siren on. I get it, dude. Like 4 cops got shot in this city. You know what I mean? Like, if I get it that they're gonna be cautious. And so he had me then, but the thing was
the guy from the earlier episode that drew me the map of how to get to City House. You remember that?
Yeah. I'm gonna put this sweatshirt on, dude. I'm freezing.
He worked at the Great Outdoors with the shooter.
What? First of all, what's the Great Outdoors?
It's a sandwich shop. I've told you to eat the sandwich shop before. It's a great sandwich shop. There's locations near you. Your life would be improved if you tried these sandwiches. You're thinking of Great American Hero, which is also good.
Okay.
The nearest one to you, there's one Greenville and Park.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna put this hood. I shaved my head today. And my face. I think I'm just like, and we turned that heater off. I'm just cold.
Okay. I would not say it's especially cold in here, but.
Well, I'm cold, and I felt like my voice was demonstrating more emotion than I was actually feeling because I'm cold.
Yeah. I get into that sometimes.
Yeah, that's why I just want to I'm sure I'll end up crying at some point on this podcast, but I don't want to getting fired sucked. I definitely have felt the full spectrum of emotions over it. I wouldn't say that was even the full thing that pushed me into, whatever was going on while I was getting fired, because I got fired for a lot of other reasons. But that's what I'm saying. Like
we'll talk about each one of them one day.
Yeah, definitely. But one of them was like my lack of responsiveness. That's why it was funny that it took them longer to come back with their terms. But I think another was just generally like not knowing where I was. Like I was always like not in the office and no one knew where to find me or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I answer my phone most of the time. I return calls. And I also had given a young lawyer complete access to my Outlook because I was like, just anything urgent, dude, just fucking handle it. Like escalate it to me or an appropriate person.
So that was not common in your office?
It was an innovative tactic, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I came up with it myself. There was no model for it for me.
Just everyone being able to see everyone's Outlook.
No, my email. Like my inbox. Like not just my calendar.
Yeah, I thought you meant like he could see my calendar so they knew where I was.
No.
He's reading all your emails and being like, this one's worth reading.
No, yeah, he's like, this person needs this person needs that, because I'm like, I need you anticipating this stuff because eventually
What's he doing now? Could I get him?
I think he's rocking it law firm style, dude.
That sounds like a useful service.
Yeah, I loved it for the 2 weeks that it happened. But then, I got
someone just reads all the fucking bullshit and just gives me a list at the end of just do this, do this, do this.
Yeah. And
that's tight.
I gave other people access too, dude. I was completely open book with the people I worked with because I got this from someone who works in corporate America, but it's good advice, I think. Like I had a completely different phone and, everything, iCloud, everything for real life.
Yeah.
And so I'm not getting anything I'm worried about. No one's emailing me.
Yeah.
And, this was my second place. So all the people I came up with that would have emailed me, like maybe something that would be like, sensitive, like about the boss or whatever, like that's not happening anymore. So
Yeah.
anyway, but that's why it's funny, dude, that I got pulled over because I think there's like a video or record of like me in my business clothes. I'm clearly like on my way to work.
You think we can get it still?
I mean, I thought about contesting the ticket, but again, dude, like we were kind of referencing earlier, dude, I'm not trying to get in these disputes if I don't have to.
I don't care.
So they may have like destroyed it by now.
Okay.
He did say he was recording it though, and it was very interesting because all right, so he then gets me out of the apartment parking lot, and he's like, pull over. So I just pull over to the left, right, the rightmost lane, and then he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, keep going. And pull over in that parking lot. So I pull over in a gas station parking lot. I'm like, I didn't know the city owned this gas station. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. How is this any different?
Yeah, exactly.
And
dude.
the whole time he's giving these directives through like the loudspeaker? Or
That's how I remember it. But dude,
he's not like walking up to the car and being like, hey, can you keep going?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And there isn't film of that. Because all I remember is like right where you're about to turn on 30 was where I eventually like we had our interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Mr. Nice Guy, dude. So he's like coming up, and I remember being like the way I always try to be.
So have you seen the video?
No.
This is okay.
This is just like
Your recollection.
I lived it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey man, sorry about that. And like he's like shuts it down. Like, have you ever like tried to come to somebody with like, hey man, sorry about that, and they're like, motherfucker, like basically, you know what I mean? Like,
not often,
it's a
but
bad
yeah,
feeling.
yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, he's pissed, dude.
Because I mean, at that point, you're selling out to be like, can we move to a calm phase of this?
Yeah, I'm trying
because
to
it's very
show him
important
none of
to
this
you
is hostile to me.
to get to a calm phase of this, and he's just like, "Fuck you, no."
I think he was already in like
You don't
an
get calm
excited,
phase.
yeah. And I get it if he's like, this guy's out of control. You know what I mean? Like if his brain is wired to like see guys as out of control as threats, I'm threatening him. Well, we all know what that does. Like, so, but this is all, I came to these conclusions months after, dude. I was in the moment was like, immediately after he shut me down, I was like, fuck this motherfucker. So then I get like adversarial and like kind of smart-assy a little bit. And I'm like, all right, so what are you exactly pulling me over for? I mean, you know what I mean? And he's like, and then he like almost was like frustrated with me. And he was like, man, why are you fucking with me? Like, why are you doing this? And I remember being like, this guy thinks I'm like purposefully doing it. I'm trying to get to work, dude, But in his mind, I'm the antagonist, I guess, of like that hour. And then I'm
Glad
like,
we gave him a gun.
Yeah, dude. And I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. I mean, I didn't really get what you were doing and, whatever. And he's like, well, I'm writing you up and like, blah, blah, blah. And then I don't really know how tickets work. And I've gotten tickets before, obviously. I mean, I kind of know how they work, but I usually just pay them.
The law, that's kind of outside your expertise.
Yeah. I showed up one day.
The justice system, not something you know anything about.
Yeah. Well, it's a completely different part of it, dude.
I know.
You're being funny, but I get what you're saying. But
no, I have a friend who's a lawyer that this comes up a lot. Like he appreciated that without him saying anything, that Jake and I identified early that the whole trope of like people being like, well, I have a friend who's a lawyer. I could ask him this question. Like, if your friend's a fucking toe doctor and you ask him about like fertility, like you're not going to get good answers.
Yeah. I think the best you can do, what I try to do is be
it's
like,
a big field.
First of all, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Like you wouldn't go to a science teacher and like ask him a fucking English literature question and just be like, what? It's a teacher.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I do have a hot take on that though, because I think there's a time in every lawyer's career, if they're advancing like in a certain way, where they're really riding the wave of their expertise. It's more of like a felt sense thing. And the way it generally works in my experience is they kind of like have a sense of what the law is or should be, even when the clients are asking questions. It's like a good feeling. It's like competence, like when you get it, and you kind of like, you don't even really hedge that much. You know, it's kind of like understood. You might be like, let me confirm this, but here's what I'm thinking. And you get a junior lawyer to go do the actual research, and they come back and they tell you the nuances. Very sensitive spot as a junior lawyer if you're ever going to come back and be like, you actually told the client the wrong thing. We got, you know, so usually when a junior lawyer comes back with that, they have this little grin, dude. And they're like, I did that research, boss, you know, but they're usually way too cocky. And it's like they're missing a bunch of nuances. They got too excited. It turns it into a learning experience for them, which is, in my experience.
Yeah, that sounds frustrating.
When they come with that, like, I'm gonna teach you a thing or two.
Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah.
When it's like, hey, here's what I found. I need some guidance. Blah blah blah. That's
that level of eagerness never works out.
Eagerness to take you down a peg. I mean, I applaud it, but I'm kind of like Ari Gold, like in the early season, where he's like, no more guys that want my job. I'm not hiring them anymore. It's like, at the time, that's also important for the audience. During all of this, I was in the midst of an Entourage rewatch.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. And I think that energy really did come through.
I mean, yeah,
Pretty
dude.
big time.
I'll watch some Ari highlights on YouTube from time to time. It certainly puts you in a spot.
Yeah, definitely. So it was pretty fun. So anyway,
I don't know how loud it's going to be me eating these raisins. I'm sorry if it turns out loud.
I haven't heard him yet.
I mean, I just put them on my mouth. It's going to be loud.
I would just move the mic down.
That's a good point, Alex.
Yeah. Or move it up if you want the audience to hear it. Did I ever tell you once I got clowned on so hard in like 4th grade, dude? I shoplifted raisins.
For eating raisins? Shoplifted raisins?
Yeah.
Why?
That's exactly the level of clowning that I got. I walking out of the store, I was like, yo, boys.
Check this out. What a loser.
I like raisins, dude. You're eating them, dude. What if I could tell you I get those for free?
Would make it. I mean, they're not expensive.
I know, dude. Were you a California raisins head in your youth?
Yeah, it's fine.
I was a big time.
Not
California
my top ranked
raisins head.
snack, you know.
Like, no, I mean the guys, the animatronic.
Like you had action figures?
I definitely had action figures of California raisins for sure.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I had a lunchbox. I watched the Christmas special. Do you know about them? Do you know about them?
No.
I know we have an age gap. You don't know about the California raisins?
I know it.
Dude?
Like I can conjure up a image that I haven't thought about in
They're
years.
like old claymation.
Yeah.
They play the sax. They're in a band.
But I did not know they had a
Yeah.
Christmas special.
I'm pretty sure that's how I heard the song "Heard It Through the Grapevine" first. I think they rocked it out. Obviously,
Yeah.
very funny.
No, that sucks.
I also had a little kid, like when you're like 5 years old, level book of them like going on a haunted adventure.
Well, now that sounds tight.
It was. I loved California raisins, man. I mean, apparently this is abnormal. They were an institution culturally.
Just in New Jersey. Just in Cranberry, New Jersey.
California.
Just having the general, fruit vibe that y'all did.
No, we grow soybeans and I think corn. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people think it's fruit, but
Does your family do a lot of that? Your dad out in the field?
No. We do live next to an old farmhouse, though, or they do, which used to be a big, the whole area, but then they turned it into the subdivision, but they kept the farmhouse.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I used to go kick a soccer ball against, they had like all the old farm outbuildings,
Okay.
And so we had like batting cages in one for a minute. Because the next door neighbor was my grade.
Okay, cool.
Dude. Yeah, who was
Let's
pretty
get him on.
Yeah, I'd love to, dude. He's a cool dude from what I recall. Yeah. Interesting.
He liked the raisins?
I don't know. We moved there post raisins era for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was like 8 but we moved there at the same time that they moved to the farmhouse. So very, very bondy experience.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, they were cool, man.
So the cop's talking to you.
Yeah, dude. So he's pissed, dude. And I immediately am like fucking with him a little, not fucking with him, but he's like, all right, man, like sign here. And then, or he's like running my license and he's like, read this or like something. I don't remember.
They
when
do
the sign
always
here
have
came
that
up.
thing where they're like, you still get a ticket if you don't sign it. And I'm like, well, then why am I going to sign it?
Yeah, well, they can arrest you if you don't sign it, dude. I thought he was bullshitting me about that, but I looked it up and I'm pretty sure he wasn't. Because I was like, that has to be bullshit, but that's what I'll get to. So I was like adrenaline dumping, dude. In the video, I probably look like a bitch more than crazy. That's what I was saying. It like takes like more context to explain because, dude, this dude is so mad at me and screaming at me. And then I go like into like kind of oppositional mode. And I'm like, at some point, I'm like, do I have to sign this or not? I'm not even refusing, but I'm like, it says here I don't have to sign, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck, man? Like, you know, I'm going to arrest you, basically. And then I go into like, I felt like a freeze come over my whole body. Like, not like I can't move, but just like, one time at work, the building like didn't catch on fire, but like it kind of did. There was like smoke coming out of everywhere. And I went into like crisis mode and it felt very like robotic, like being in a car accident. It was fucking sick, dude. And it was like very similar to that. So I was like, don't fuck with him at all. But
yeah, I mean, you know, if you like that, get your house broken into.
Fuck yeah, dude. You should tell the audience about that, dude. That's fucking insane.
We can't. It's not relevant to any of this, and it's, you know, go search the It's Just Banter archives.
Okay. It might come up. It's
been told plenty of times.
I think it's an interesting example of an archetype coming online.
Sure.
I'll tell anyone who hasn't heard It's Just Banter. TC fucked up a villain.
No.
That's how I remember hearing it.
The guy broke into my house. He said he was going to stab me, and I told him the cops were on the way, and he ran out the back door. That's the story.
Fucked him up. Nice. Oh man, I thought it was more hardcore than that, but you're self-deprecating a little bit, I think.
Yeah, no, I can tell a version where, you know, I look more badass, but I'm just trying to get. I want to hear your story.
Yeah. That's the ultimate flex. You know, let the audience's imagination fill it in. You know what I'm saying?
No one's trying to flex.
Pretty cool.
Just trying to hear about what this cop did.
Well, all I'm saying is I adrenaline dumped. So
what does that mean?
Like, okay, have you ever had the sensation after the incident with the robber, after a car accident? You know, those are the main things I would think of: a physical fight.
Yeah.
A confrontation with a stranger, like in traffic or on the street or something, where you feel the shock, or not shock, but like the adrenaline, the fight or flight response of like, you know, I felt it like at workplace confrontations, standing up to your boss. I think any kind of authority interaction where you are in opposition with authority triggers it for me. And I just work through it, dude. I don't care. It's like you can either never say anything because you're scared that you look like a bitch because your hands will shake, like at some point, if you're sticking up to someone that is like a big time enough, you know, whatever. Or you can just never say anything. I mean, you know, I think I've flipped that, but you see what I'm saying?
Mom
you can
spaghetti.
Just work through it. Yeah, exactly, dude. I was reading a book where a character did that, and it was the first time I saw somebody like represented of yelling at somebody while their hands shake. And I was like, respect, dude. Representation does matter. But so that matters for the story. So he, I think, thought I was still fucking with him because of all this back and forth. And he's like, sign it. And I'm like, do I have to? Like, and he's like, sign it. And then I'm literally like, my hands are shaking and I'm trying to sign it and I'm trying to steady the thing. And he's like, and then he's like, all right, man, like you're getting recorded now. And then he like kind of like calms himself down as he like appears to me to be turning on the
Yeah,
camera.
like he doesn't want to be yelling on the
Yeah, man.
tape.
And it was like a weird weaponization of that. It's
Well,
like,
of course, I'm the reasonable one. We can all
Exactly,
see
dude.
that based on how I'm acting on film.
and it's the power of narrative, dude, and of who gets to edit like where the narrative starts. And so I'm just like shaking and like looking crazy, and he's just like, "Are you going to sign it, or are you going to have a problem, man?" You know? And I'm like, my hands are shaking because you yelled at me, and like I have adrenaline going through my body right now. And he's like, "You want to go to jail?" And I'm like, "No," and just like make a line, take the ticket, and go to work. And then no one's at fucking work, dude. So it's like, I think I have a key card login, but I think it is significant that I went to work during this time because it's like at issue whether I ever showed up. And it's like, I showed up and there was just one secretary there. And I remember being like, after fucking all that, dude. And then, you know, I took off for some reasons. That's a whole other, story that I'm sure we'll get to. But yeah, that was quite an incident, man. So I did think about taking on that guy. I was pissed, dude. So I had just gotten fired. I get that fucking ticket in the mail or whatever. And I'm like, I am a lawyer, dude. I'll fucking light this guy up. Like, the thing he wrote me up for isn't what he's saying I did. Like, the code is different, but there is a code for being on private property. But it's like, check the tape, bro. We're on private property at your behest. Like, it's a weird, I don't know. But it's all gray, even as I say it out loud now. I'm like, is that a slam dunk? Is this a civil rights violation? Not really. This is like the summer of 2019. I don't remember what's going on in the country, but it's like, it's not anybody's idea of a tragedy. And I was like, I don't know, dude. There's like bigger fish to fry. I don't need to be in court, like dealing with all this, looking insane.
These rap albums won't write themselves.
Exactly, dude. I need to put that energy into something more, let's sublimate some of this oppositional energy. So that, I think, was more my power of standing down moment, was being like, I sat there and stared at the ticket for a while.
Yeah.
And was like, what am I going to do with this? Because I would love to just get that motherfucker on the stand and get him mad. And just be like, y'all see what I'm saying, man?
Yeah.
It's like, all I did was change lanes. Like, and this is, because I was going to subpoena any video he took that day, every ticket he wrote that day. Like, I didn't know if I could get any of this. I have no idea. But I was going to be like the most insane, like, person contesting a ticket of all time. Because I know how to be like procedurally obtuse, like tactically. And I was, he was going to have to testify, and I have a constitutional right to, and I was going to be like, what were you feeling that day, man? Like, why you have to talk to me that way? Like, I mean, and I wanted to film it. But then I was like, this is insane and pretty grandiose and a waste of everyone's time, including yours. Pay the ticket, hold your nose, and just move on with life. And I think that there was
that probably is right.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Definitely. Even as I sit here talking about it, I'm like, the guy was kind of a dick, but I was kind of like in left field. Like, so I don't actually know what happened. I mean, I could get the video and look like a complete asshole. And like, that's worse than listening to yourself on a podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess it depends on how you do in both media.
That's what I mean.
You got a little traffic problem yourself today.
That's not important.
Okay.
This is a podcast to talk about the Excel Academy in Conroe, Texas, not fucking.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Whether or
All this
not I
shit
got a
comes
flat
back
tire.
to like these emotional flashbacks. That's what they call them, and they feel the same to me as when I'm getting yelled at.
Do you remember kids talking about getting acid flashbacks? Or
At
like
Excel?
if someone popped their back, that like someone else would be like, "Watch it, dude."
No, that rules, dude.
Yeah.
So, okay, explain that for the audience, man, for some of the more straight edge listeners.
There was I don't know anyone who like had this happen. It sounds like an urban legend to me. I don't know. Maybe
I
there's
pop my
science behind it.
sternum every day now and my back
And do
every
you
day.
trip as a result?
I try to live my life in a psychedelic state, meditatively. So
Okay.
I
Doesn't
wouldn't
feel like an
know.
answer.
I mean, I wouldn't say the way I do when
But it felt to me like an urban legend. But I'd certainly heard it before Excel that like if you do a bunch of acid, it gets stored in your spinal fluid. Or
I've heard that.
like that.
I remember hearing a corollary of that, which is like the only way to do a drug test for acid is a spinal tap analysis. I think. Have you heard that one?
No.
I've heard that. It's like they got to do a spinal tap, dude, and they hurt like a bitch.
I would bet that they do.
It's like, I don't think any jobs are like, and your spinal tap is on Thursday, and your background check's on Friday. Like,
I don't think I'd do it.
yeah.
But yeah, so there was the rumor that if you popped your back, you
You
could
pop out a little Sid.
access that spinal fluid that had been tainted with LSD.
What's up, man? That would rule.
But yeah, so I want to like lay out a little something here, and then I got a thing, right? Can I unspool my various
Of course,
parts?
dude.
So my grandparents, my mom's parents, like no disrespect to anyone else in my family. I love each of you in your own way. You're all special people. But like those are my faves, dude. My mom's mom and dad.
Your maternal grandparents.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about them.
They meant a lot to me. Just like I've attempted to distill this over time, be able to explain. And during the times that we're talking about, the times like immediately leading up to me going to Excel, I feel like the only question on the minds of pretty much everyone was like, how do we get him to stop doing this? Like, how can we control his behavior so that he acts right? Right?
Yeah, let's put aside what doing this is or acts right, but I agree with you in terms of those generalized notions.
And like, I felt like they were probably interested in that. And I mean, it was a year before I got sent to Excel.
So they were aware that you were like acting out and stuff.
Everyone was.
I think some people's grandparents are less aware, depending.
I mean, I don't know if everyone got told everything or whatever, but yeah, for sure.
Do they live in Plano or?
No, they live in Naperville, Illinois, or they did at the time. They're both passed now.
They're both passed now. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So my grandpa passed about a year before I got to Excel,
Oh, okay, okay.
and my grandma passed, I want to say 2016.
Okay.
But so that's relevant. But I felt my grandmother specifically, definitely, in addition to like the how can we get him to act right, was the only person who seemed to engage at all, in my opinion. And I'm sure some will find this unfair. And I'm sorry, but I thought that she was the only one who seemed really interested in like, why is he doing this?
Yeah.
How does it feel to be him? Which I think as a parent are like the only questions you should ask. Like what are my kids' emotions? Why are they experiencing them? What's it like to be them right now?
Of course.
Those kinds of things. And I don't think that the average parent that I've known in my life focuses on those. And I definitely don't feel like there was a lot of time spent on that when I was a kid. There was no, and I mean, this is something I can certainly capable of getting worked up about, but like the idea of my parents, like asking themselves like, well, why is he always talking in class? And then being like, well, like maybe he's not getting, what do you call it? Limbic?
Yeah. Oh, well I don't think entered the conversation for me.
Yeah, like maybe he's not getting the mirroring, or just like to look at me and be like, hey, he talks a lot. Just to go to one of my teachers and be like, he's just a kid that likes to talk a lot. Like, you're just going to have to deal with this, like,
well, but
there was no time that they were.
Yeah, but things have changed now. I mean, I agree. I don't mean to make your parents' case for them, but to expect them to think about being limbic, no. To be like a kid, the kid just talks a lot. I think the clash was the idea of a good.
Whether or not they know the word limbic is irrelevant. Having the process of trying to understand. I think it is relevant.
That's part of the mission here on Life Skills is to help people know about this stuff. Most people still don't know about that kind of stuff. We're using it like it's a phrase. I bet most
you have
of the
an
audience
understanding
doesn't
of
know
whether
about
or not you're attempting to be understanding towards the other people around you. Like, I'm just talking about being empathetic. They knew the word empathetic, Alec. Like
no, I hear you on that. I mean, but you got to do work to do that. And what I'm saying is,
If you have a child, you ought to be ready to do some
I
work.
agree, dude. I'm not making that case for them. But I'm thinking back to my own experience. I do remember tons of adults, including my parents, being like, why are you doing this? But I just said, I don't know.
And I don't feel like
I
they
got
actually
asked
meant
that all the time.
that. You know what I mean?
I don't know what they meant, but I definitely don't think they were like, tell me the root cause of why you were doing this, up to and including whether you feel emotionally seen by me as your parent. I
Yeah.
don't think that's what they were
Yeah.
asking, which is like
Yes.
the ultimate thing for a child who's acting out. I mean, if there are parental resources, you should, make them available. But, I don't know. It's
But I felt like my grandmother was someone who was attempting to see
who
me,
did try to look at the deeper picture of.
who at least was interested in it,
I do agree with. I mean, to put it differently,
and just
I
like
would
generally
say,
was sympathetic. Like didn't immediately assume that I was a piece of shit in any interaction.
it sounds
which,
like that was pretty rare in your experience.
Yeah, dude. If
That's
the
what I'm
teacher
saying.
came and said like I did something wrong, it wasn't like them asking me like, is this teacher kind of an asshole? Like that just wasn't a fucking possibility on the table. They weren't like, well, he does 8 classes a day and 6 of the teachers say that he's fine. What's going on with the other 2? It was
Right.
just shut the fuck up in those 2 classes.
Yeah. Well, I also think culturally, as millennials are parents now, it does seem like parents are more willing to do that. So we're sitting here saying that's the norm that our parents should have done. But what I recall is when parents did that,
I know it's
it was
rare. I
like,
don't give a
holy
fuck,
shit.
dude.
Yeah.
Like they took away 4 fucking years of my life
Oh,
off this shit.
Yeah. Well, that's a completely different story.
I'm just saying. Like that's the story. That is the story.
yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah. So
Like,
why do you think, I think this is probably one of the things that we'll talk about a few times, but why do you think they kept you there for so long?
We're going to do several episodes on
Yeah,
that.
that's what I figured.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my grandparents,
Yeah.
very important to me.
Dude, I'm trying to big up what your grandma means to you by saying I think it's that, especially back then,
You're right. Yeah.
was exceptionally rare for an adult to interact with a kid that way. That's what I'm saying.
Especially
Like,
one of the previous generation.
Yeah, because I think the previous generation is worse than the baby boomers
Universally.
overall in terms of being in touch with their feelings because they had the Depression and World War II.
I mean, I think that's just the history of man,
Well, Depression and World War II is worse than like the biggest
Yeah,
economic
yeah.
boom of all time, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? For
No,
people
you're
who enjoyed
correct.
it. For
But
people
like,
who enjoyed it.
don't you feel that in general, like in every 100-year period, people are raising kids better than they were 100 years ago, with a possible exception like the Dark Ages or something.
I have no idea if that doesn't seem right. That seems Whiggish to me with a WH.
Maybe in the history of the United States, is that like a more bite-sized piece? The people appear to like parent more empathetically as time goes on.
I mean, it does seem like that.
I think it's a natural human process to look
Childhood
at what a
wasn't even a
previous set of
thing.
parents did and be like, well, I know how that affected me. I've got some ideas. Like,
Yeah,
let's
but
try
that's
and
like
do this a
from
little bit better.
1800 on. Like in like Rome or whatever, like as they were making progress, they were like,
Yeah, that's why I limited it to America, because I don't really want to,
yeah. Okay.
I don't know if I can win that argument, and I don't even want to try.
I'm not trying to win an argument.
I know.
I
I
think
I'm
it
just-
goes up and down.
I'm just saying.
I will always strive to make things better.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what
And
I'm
I feel
about,
like most
always.
people have some of that.
Yeah, I think that's
so
what you got to look to
You
when
would
you see.
you would think that as time goes on, people are improving methods.
That's
They're
what True
obviously,
Detective is about.
in ways that are like measurable, like it's clear. Like we our farm yields like are better
What?
as time goes along.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Until
people are learning
until
more.
The big one.
Technology's advancing.
Until the big one.
I don't know what that means. Like what? The meteor hitting the Earth?
No, I mean, isn't there? There's a lot of disaster scenarios, but like we're really good at crop yields, for a lot of reasons. But it seems like some of them are like pesticides and like genetic engineering of crops, over farming.
I saw someone
soil.
writing about some portion of Wales that was like over farmed, and now it's like just like no life whatsoever, no insects.
Shit, dude.
And they were like,
That's
"This
what
is
I'm
what the
saying,
whole
dude.
world's gonna be."
Well, I think like, isn't it like the Sahara in Africa like is a desert now, but it used to be like a jungle?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it got farmed. I don't know.
It's rough.
I'm not a historian. That's what I'm saying, dude. The big one.
I
An
hear you.
ecological disaster.
But yeah, so my grandparents, they had a very they had a great place in my life. They had an interesting relationship that I think about a lot. It's interesting in that I kind of take it as, and this is the way that I mean this, I don't think it's controversial or anti-PC, but I have to be careful about how I phrase it so that is clear to the listener.
Okay.
My grandfather had,
I shouldn't have giggled at that.
strong. No, it's fine. I didn't find it offensive. He
don't
was
know
a
what
chill
you're gonna
guy. He was a brilliant storyteller.
Okay.
I consider that my inspo.
Okay.
And just a gregarious guy that you would want to hang out with. But he was definitely had particularities. Family story is that I don't ever heard about this from him. It was years after he was dead that people would tell the tale of. But if he was at if he was at someone else's house and the toilet paper was on what he felt the wrong way, he would take it off and flip it.
Wow.
He had clear ideas about things, right?
That a lot of things are coming in clear now.
And I'm not here to criticize him. I don't have anything to criticize him about. In my eyes, he is
I
perfect.
honestly respect that.
And I mean, my mom growing up.
You don't, but you're disrespecting your grandfather if you don't know what his preference was.
I have a bad
After
memory.
all
What
that.
do you want me to do?
You should know, dude.
I should stop using marijuana?
No, I'm saying
You have automatic recall of everything?
no, but this seems important. This seems worth running down if he felt this strongly about it. It has to be he wants it on top, coming down. That seems.
I think you're right.
I'm mostly going from the Simpsons joke. There was one where they got at.
I'm pretty sure you're right,
Yeah,
but I'm not 100%.
they got dinged on a child protective services visit on The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
For having it the other way.
That's a great bit.
Yeah,
God
that's
damn.
mostly what I'm going on.
Yeah, but so he had a clear vision and he was happy to kind of guide where the family was going to go, and then she was extremely welcoming of that direction.
His wife, your grandma.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that her dad had some of that in him, and
Sure.
so
she probably selected for it.
yeah,
Choosing a mate.
I think it was good. This is comfort and safety to me.
Sure.
And he is going to supply it by taking out of my hands all this worrying about shit.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. It took a second. And so whenever he died, a good 15 years before she did, that was just a big problem.
Sure,
It's I really kind of thought the arrangement was that someone was going to provide me this guidance my whole life. I don't want to learn it at 66.
Yeah, dude.
And
Most women will admit if you press them, they prefer to die first.
yeah, no, I mean, I want to die first. Yeah, no, very clear about that.
What are your thoughts on wife remarrying?
I don't
Has
care.
the blessing? That's how
Yeah,
I feel,
of
dude.
course.
Go ahead.
Yeah, be happy.
Yeah.
No, I'm not possessive at all.
Yeah. Spend the money.
Yeah.
If you want, but don't feel like you need to,
Whatever's
Because-
going to make you happy.
Yeah, I've heard some older women say, these older guys, they're just looking for a nurse with a purse.
Some Kind of Heaven, I think is the name of the documentary. It's about the villages in Florida. Are you familiar with the
Ooh.
villages?
I've become familiar with them, and
It's following 3 different people's lives, and one of them is a guy who late in life really got into drugs,
nice.
and that's great.
Wow.
And he has an argument with
So
a judge.
in his 50s, he decided to
Later
do
than that.
cocaine.
Yeah.
That rules, dude.
And then
See, you could always improve yourself.
and then one of the other guys that they're following is a dude who's just drove there from California and is just living out of his van.
Okay.
Just like he knows a couple numbers of ladies around and is just like
Whoa.
working them. Just fucking,
Very-
hey, what if I stayed over there?
Wow. Oh, so he's like homeless guy,
Yeah.
just working the circuit at the
He's
villages,
just looking
dude,
for a nurse with a
of
purse,
the
dude.
widows, dude.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Like in the beginning of the documentary, I think the first time he's on camera, it's like him saying like, yeah, just came down to work the bar scene, hoping to meet someone and have them kind of support me.
Dude, that energy is so funny, man. I'm not going to name any names. I mean, I don't think this guy's going to listen to the podcast, but maybe someone who knows him will. But I've seen it. This is reminding me of an old guy I've seen in action who very similar energy. I think he has an RV.
Yeah.
And I was at, a place with a bunch of old people. He's like, I don't know this guy. I've met him like maybe once or twice. He's like old hippie type. And, he's like got his RV, and within like 12 hours of being on the scene, he's hooking up with like some other old guy's nurse. You know what I mean? But she's old too. Like, so she's like 55.
Yeah.
But that's like a 40-year-old like dating an 18-year-old, for like the old people set.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but the old babes love these guys. Like, it doesn't surprise me that he has the rotation, because it's like the kind of guy who like is just like, I'll just meet some people, some of these old widows. It's like there's a certain kind of widow that flocks to that energy. It was actually kind of an interesting thing to behold. I'm very positive on
A little bit of a bummer.
Well, maybe this guy, but
Yeah, no, his whole deal. I mean, the documentary is a bummer.
yeah, I guess.
Like, it's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
It's a beautiful
is it Trump?
look into
Like they
life.
vote for Trump a lot or something? Is that what it was about?
No, dude.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't.
Because that's what my general sense of the Village is like it's important because they vote for Trump.
No, I think that it was
They have
held up
boat
as like
rallies?
the
Do they have boats there, or people there don't have vote?
no, it's Central Florida.
It's Central Florida. Okay.
It's like near Orlando.
Okay.
I thought it was mentioned in the election because it was going to be a place that was going to give an early indication of how much Biden was making inroads with the elderly.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
Biden certainly, I mean, one wonders if he'd be better off somewhere like the Villages.
Dude, I was actually just thinking, dude, I think Biden would do well as like a van guy.
Oh, yeah.
I think he'd be
Yeah,
great, dude.
He would be
The
the
way he
ultimate.
loves to like smell women and
Oh
stuff.
my
'Cause
God,
you
he
have
would
to like
clean
be
the
into
fuck
women.
up.
That's what
Yeah,
they like.
oh,
The
he
energy
is.
of like,
Yeah.
it's just like I'm happy to be around these old babes. Like, tan old Irish guy in Central Florida.
Yeah.
Just like being
Those
like,
glasses.
let me
fucking-
help you with that lotion.
No doubt.
You like ice cream? Yeah. Anyway,
It's an interesting documentary. Like I said, I think it's called Some Kind of Heaven.
some kind of.
Darren Aronofsky produced it. I don't think he directed
Okay.
it, but
Okay.
he produced it. But yeah, so my grandparents had this whole situation where my grandmother was seeking direction and then was just kind of cut loose and listless.
yeah.
Everyone kind of worried about like
Sure.
she's just not. I mean, she lived for another 15, 16 years, and I thought that she did great for most of it.
Yeah.
Like I continued to enjoy her company an extreme amount. But whatever. It was always like the talk between like my mom and her sister of like, is she getting out enough? Is she doing enough? Like,
So
is
she was living
making
alone this
good
whole time?
choices? Yeah.
Okay,
In
okay.
like their house. Like she didn't move out of it till probably like 2012, 2011, maybe. I don't know,
Okay,
something like
okay.
that. So
Yeah,
another
yeah.
decade in the house.
Yeah.
But anyways, so just wanted to lay that out. It'll become relevant later.
Okay.
So at the end of the last episode, I told the story of getting in trouble in physics class, being like, "This girl's changed her name. When's she gonna change it next? Who knows?"
What?
It's the podcast that you're on.
Wait. Maybe give me more context, dude. Sorry.
Me and a friend.
You and a friend.
Yeah. Cool guy. Checking with him occasionally. The one who gave me the ride from LA to San Diego
Okay.
to go to the wedding.
So this is physics class in Excel?
Yes.
That's what was confusing me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and they had changed the girl's name. Like they had told her, like, you're going by this now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought for some reason this was like something you got in trouble for before Excel. Never mind.
No. And then, we were like, I thought she was this. Now she's this. What's she going to be next?
Did you have a third tag on it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess you have to use the names to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, like, no ill intent. Like, not, like, making fun of her for it. Like, she seems cool. You know? Like, I've seen her a couple times, I think, post-Excel.
Oh, really?
I think. Yeah, like there was definitely one time that we were like at a bar, like, some Excel people were going to a bar in the Houston area,
Okay.
and I was there, and she was also there.
Okay.
I follow her on Instagram. She
Okay.
seems to be having a, nice life.
Did she use one of those names?
Yeah.
Which one? The first one?
I think it's the second one.
The second one?
I think.
A rare stick to the second one.
I might be
person.
wrong. That'd be a great question. Maybe we'll have her on.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so then it one of the fucking girls brought it up at Life Skills. That
How did they phrase it? Like, what's the violation here?
Dude, I'm not going to come close to that level of precision
making
and
snide
memory.
comments generally.
They presented as we were making fun of her,
Yeah.
which that's why I was being so defensive about it. We were not making fun of her. Like, it was an offhand comment.
Right.
Like, it meant absolutely, we had no intent behind it. I would be surprised if she were offended by it.
Well, I was going to say,
But
what's
some
the
girl
big
was
punchline here? They
mean-
did make her change her name. Are they going to make it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, always whenever they changed
course.
someone's name, it was part of a transformative process.
So that's what I was kind of thinking. Yeah. You're more mocking that.
So they are interpreting that as like we're attempting to hold back her recovery.
Sure.
Like this
I agree with
previous
them.
name that like even hearing it on her ears is
You're
like
dead-
dragging
I mean, I
her
shouldn't
back
say
to
that.
being her previous person.
Yeah.
And so that is the offense that we've committed, and for that we were pulled from school and made to do labor for a day and put in jumpsuit.
You were jumpsuited and suspended.
Yes.
So when you're suspended from school at Excel, for the listener, this is the closest we got to like holes, I think. You're wearing an orange jumpsuit, and you have to either pull weeds in a garden or maybe just dig holes all day. I mean, did they do a lot of digging of holes for your day?
I'm trying to remember
We
why.
dug so many holes.
I have no recollection, but I did it once, and I don't remember.
It's probably an IP infringement lawsuit from
Could have been.
Warner Brothers or whoever, Louis Sachar.
But yeah, so that like I said in the previous episodes, there'd been the incident where they asked who hadn't been jumpsuited, and then I raised my hand, and kind of like, I mean, I'm probably overstating this with the benefit of hindsight, but like, it kind of felt like, yeah, it's probably on now, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, dude.
And it was.
Yeah.
And so we get jumpsuited for that, which screams out to me like that this is kind of being a little too precious with it. Like,
What do you mean?
doesn't deserve a jumpsuit.
What, not?
Like,
Oh,
even by their fucking standards.
for making the comment about
weird.
the girl's name.
It's odd that they would
But when
jumpsuit
you say
someone for that.
jumpsuited for that, you mean the girl's name. You got
Yeah.
So when you raised, this is during the period after, okay, this is like the 4 months when you're about to leave.
Yeah.
And you've been jumpsuited because you raised your hand, but you've been taken off since then. And this is
No,
one
I
of
didn't
your-
get jumpsuited for just raising my hand.
Oh, so you were walking around with the sword of Damocles hanging above your head, wondering what is it going to be, but it's going to be something.
Exactly.
And it was this
Exactly.
to get you jumpsuited.
Yes.
Oh, that's a tough jumpsuit to take, dude.
Yes.
When it's one of those, it's a pretextual jumpsuiting, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dude, pretext, dude. In the constructive discharge scenario, it's the exact same frustration because they're telling you it's one thing, but they're giving you a consequence that is so much bigger because it's about so many other things. That's the exact same emotion. I wish we had coordinated this because it's perfect. That's the feeling of being like, I got to fucking take this. And like, that's why I refuse to just like, say some story of like we went our separate ways or whatever. Because I much rather be like, no, they were mad at a lot of things, and it came out this way because they were in power, and at the time I kind of had to like navigate through it the best way I could. But now that I have the ability to tell the full story, I'm going to tell the full story, the way I want to. And maybe I won't tell the full story, but again, that's going to be more of my call when it comes. Anyway, I feel like it's that exact same emotion, especially as you're about to leave, because I saw so many variations on this, but it was a little bit, because you can't help but get a little bit of like, it's like super senioritis. Because it's like, yo, I'm going to be listening to Eminem.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be like watching The Matrix.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, whatever.
You know all my old friends? Not only will I be able to talk about them, I will talk to them.
Yeah, one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so...
The ones who do drugs, the ones who don't. I don't even give a fuck, dude.
Yeah. And then you're like, but I'm not allowed to talk about Family Guy for the next 4 months. It's kind of ridiculous. And they can't help but kind of sense that, and then they can't help but want to take you down, and then you get this kind of bullshit. But because you're still kind of precarious, because you're still in their clutches but about to be out of it, you have to like kind of decide what you're going to take and how hard you're going to push. And you can't help but have little outbursts, and then they get you for those.
So I can't remember if there were 3 or 4 instances. I can remember 3 clearly.
Yeah.
So that's the first of the 3.
Okay.
And I'd like to go through all 3 over the course of tonight.
Yeah. So this is all in the last 4 months when they realized you had never been jumpsuited and they knew you were leaving.
Yes.
So you were technically considered the second most responsible boy in the school.
I think so. I mean, my memory's fuzzy, but yeah, I would.
But they were pissed at you on the way out.
Well, I mean, these are like you're asking questions that are going to take their own episode.
Okay.
I mean, the answer is no. They were not pissed at me on the way out, but like,
well, why'd they jump you?
Because we had a fucking. Well, they were pissed at me then.
That's what I'm saying.
But I had 4 months to go.
Yeah. Why were they so mad at you during these 4 months?
But I mean, like by the end, they weren't mad. By the end,
they were. By the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, they were proud of what they had done here. Like they felt like that these were all like constructive molding things.
Okay.
The stuff that they were doing to like, just fucking like just destroy my sense of like comfort, like
yeah.
I feel like I'm using the word safe too much, but like I did not feel safe during that time. Like and you know that like a person like us, like me, that has that like needs a certain amount of order and like just people to respect rules.
Sure.
Like just my brain does not operate. I mean, like it's kind of like if there's supposed to be rules, then like there better fucking be rules. But like if there's not rules, I like that too. You know what I mean?
It's good to know. What upsets me is when people
like
tell
it's
you
not
the
like I
rules are
love
one thing.
following the law.
Yeah, but it's good to know what they are.
Yeah.
Although, dude, I mean, love him or hate him, I think Antonin Scalia was right that, like, in our modern society, basically everyone breaks 2,000 laws before breakfast, and any law enforcement officer can use that to do whatever they want to you, basically, should they want to. It's kind of a scary thing to think about. Like, you basically have to forget about it and go about your day. But
yeah,
I do agree with him on that.
Yeah.
I'm a legal realist on that. But, dude, this book I'm reading, The Disintegrating Self, very common traits in some of his theories of mind. His theory is like you might feel like you're the only one and you aren't normal, but you are potentially part of a substantial minority of people who are neurodivergent and are on, what's normally described as the autism spectrum and maybe the ADHD or ADD spectrum. And then there's like all these subtypes. But reading it, I think I did mention it. I was like, it reminded me of you and myself. But like the frustration with like, what are the rules and like, perceived hypocrisy.
I'm just saying that like, it bothers me in a way that it does. Like, I don't think that anyone likes it, but like, I can't sit with it. I can't.
Yeah.
Like whenever I think that like we're supposed to have a structure here and I'm going out of my way to respect your structure and you're still yelling at me for not respecting the structure.
Right.
Like that's, I mean, no one likes that. So I don't want to like say like,
Well, sometimes the yelling is the point. You know, the yelling is the actual structure. You know what I mean? That's what took me a minute.
I don't think there is a structure, dude.
Well, it's like a meta structure or like an unwritten structure and an unspoken structure in a lot of ways. But like,
It's just, there's a toolbox and these are the tools and fucking, we're going to
No, but-
deploy them as our gut says to now.
I agree when you're talking about how things should be, but and the way Excel things are. But
That's the only thing I'm talking about.
well, but I was actually thinking.
Whenever I say
about
they,
this.
I mean like Jamie. Jamie has a toolbox. You know, rules are like part of that. Yelling is part of that. Like these
Yeah.
are just all implements that they are using to like run these fucking science experiments on children. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
I
let's
think
just
what
let's
she
just
was-
poke them with this. Let's, you know,
I think
prod them
she-
with that
well,
and see what
I think-
happens.
The same way, like I think people should have looked at the why kids are acting out in a deep way. Like I can't help. I mean, I think on a very deep way she was, but it like begs the question: why was she so intent on fucking with these kids so much? It's an abnormal inclination. You know what I mean? Even among the rehab set to do it to this extreme. And I think the answer there is she didn't really understand how to be safe herself ever. And it was like,
I mean, I wouldn't if I had her background.
I mean, I think that, yeah, I see how she would struggle.
Yeah.
I think there's a path if she wants to walk it. I'm
Always
not
is.
saying she has, but I really think she was like, you know, I think Daniel's painting of the, you know, the Goya take of
Yeah.
whoever eating the kids.
Saturn eating a sun.
Yeah. Is very apt because what she was using the kids as like a mood regulator herself. She feels, I think that book would perhaps apply in some ways to some of the people who ran the school, certainly in terms of like a need for control. And I think that same, like, when you submit to rules, you're like, at least I'm in control. I know what they are and I've made my decision and I agree that I'll follow these rules for these reasons that I guess I understand for this reason. And then when you feel like the wool gets yanked out of you, from under you, it's like this crazy rage. I think she kind of felt that way like her whole life with people all the time. And like she couldn't help herself when she had power over vulnerable people. Like sometimes the good parts of her would come out and she would like weirdly bond to kids in a very inappropriate way, in my opinion. But the exact like opposite of that coin is how nasty she would get when she would get like these weird fixations on kids. And it sounds like you got fixated on at the very beginning and the very end of your stay, almost as bookends.
Yeah.
You had a shitty beginning, then you kind of chilled.
And I don't think she thought a thought about me in between those two times.
Yeah, and so here's a hypothesis for you. Like, I don't mean to diagnose you. And actually, I want to say this about, you know, I think I said last week, maybe some kids there were autistic, and I don't mean to diagnose you at all. Any book I read, I think it applies to myself and everyone I've ever met. Like, I'm very suggestible. But this is a helpful theory. But I want to say, I'm never diagnosing anyone. I'm just very interested in, like, psychology.
Yeah, and like, could I take 2 seconds
Yeah,
to,
of course.
to
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about my
Of
like
course.
self-diagnosis?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't know what autism is or isn't. But like that kind of like you know, I mean, the parents certainly had me going to therapists whenever I was a kid, and like their consistent message was like he sees things only black and white. He struggles with gray, which like seems like an autistic trait.
Yeah, but he says all of this is like came out in the 2000s. Like when he published his book relatively recently, and he's like, I'm the one that's putting all this stuff together, like this new model of it. Like it's a synthesis.
But like, is it or isn't?
Well, it's a spectrum.
No, but I'm just saying, one of the things that they're evaluating on the spectrum, like, wouldn't you agree that tendency to see things in extremes is...
Yeah, but that's also true
characteristic?
of borderline personality disorder.
Okay, well, I'm
It's
not
all-
done with the list.
Well, I know, but neither am I. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's another one of the points he makes. There's tons of crossover in all of this stuff.
I'm just saying, I don't care what it is. Like,
Yeah, it's all just insurance codes, man.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
everybody's an
But like,
individual.
whenever I say that, here's what I mean. That's what I'm attempting to explain. right now.
Okay.
That like, you know, tend to see things in extremes. I've noticed within the last like year, like, and I mean, this has been with me my entire life, but like, it just seems so automatic. I didn't really like take time to, like, you know, marvel at it. But like, if I'm in a task, like I cannot like it bothers me deeply to like put down that task.
Yeah, it's hyper focus.
Yeah.
And difficulty in switching states, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Also
you
on
know,
the checklist.
yeah.
Yeah. Dude, he also says most people that come in with a self-diagnosis are right. Like, and he is a guy that diagnoses.
I was making this case the other day, and there was a third one, and I feel like it was the biggest one, but now I can't remember what it was. Anyways,
I mean, you have hyper-specific interests.
That's true. That's true.
You know, from my attempt to talk to you, well, like you tend to prefer intellectual pursuits,
Yeah.
rather than, you know, stretches.
I'm resentful of the fact that like I have a body. It's useless to me.
Very common in this book, dude. Very common. And I think the David Foster Wallace.
If I could just be a fucking consciousness on a USB drive, that sounds preferable to me.
Yeah, but you're not, bro. You know,
I'm
God
reminded
gave you
of
a
it
body.
constantly. It's fucking unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just saying, like they did this 4-month period of like fucking with me and like just to see how I reacted, and like at the end of it, they were like, "You reacted good," and we're like. We can get into this. I just want to like give you a small snapshot of this, and then
I appreciate
in future
that.
times we can come back and like really examine it.
That you can see my wheels turning. I think I'm already like, what the hell?
A couple like within my last week, there was a time where a kid had torn his ACL at Wilderness. He got it repaired, and so he was like in one of the double wides, like just on a mattress because he was recovering from ACL surgery.
This is your last week of Excel.
Yeah, and so I was like in there, I was kind of like a floating, whatever, like let's give him an easy time. He's already graduated, like, whatever. And so I was not like they weren't having me go to Life Skills, and this guy couldn't go to Life Skills because he was recovering from ACL surgery. So I was just one of the people there, and I had to like run and go grab something or whatever. So I'm walking by Life Skills, and Jamie stops the Life Skills and is like, "Hey, everyone, right now, all yell, 'You rock, TC!'"
I mean, I don't mean to step
Terrible.
on it.
No, you're right.
Okay,
that's it,
okay.
dude. That's exactly how I felt, and that's how I feel today thinking about it. That's the exact sound that encompasses the entire thing. It's just like, one, please don't do that.
You see
Two,
me like I'm also covering
this is so
my eyes,
fucking
dude.
weird.
These are like embarrassment, expressions, dude. Oh.
But so
dude,
that's
it's
like how
little
this
kid
ends.
shit, dude. Yeah.
I know. But like that was the ultimate like, hey, we were watching how you're gonna do all that, and I know we said that you're terrible,
right?
But like now we're done with like that experiment, and like we want to let you know we thought you did pretty good, and dude, that. Like, so I'm sure based on that they thought like that what I was like that approval would have meant something to me, and by then it absolutely did not.
Well, I think the same with the You Rock TC. It's like if
that's
I
what
rock, I rock,
yeah.
dude. I mean, I know that.
Whenever she's saying you rock, like it didn't.
It's like I already knew.
No part of me
dude.
was like, finally they're telling me I'm a good boy.
Yeah.
All of it was what you were immediately connecting with.
Yeah.
That was the only thing going through me.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so. Got jumpsuited for
so how much of that
about the girl's name.
Okay, real quick. How much of this do you think is true? I mean, if you want to move on, or if I'm stepping on the conclusion.
No.
But like, do you think they sat out there at the beginning of your last 4 months and said, basically like the old guys in Trading Places, like let's run a social experiment on TC and see what he does? Or was it, oh, TC's never been jumpsuited. You know what? He's about to leave. He needs to. And then you just keep your head rears up. You're getting jumpsuited. And then as you're leaving, they're like, it's time to close the narrative. Let's be happy. Of course, we were always the masterminds. I wonder how much of it is like, because you're always going to make a story of like how you got to your present moment. Yeah. And your default is going to be like, you're the hero of that story. And they obviously removed that from no student there got to be the hero of their own story, except, I mean, I was in my
Except the
own
kids
mind.
that got to leave after a week.
Yeah. Or the kids that ran away. Or I
Yeah.
think any kid like still living now, you know, I mean, if you're like, I mean, a lot of kids
in your own
aren't.
way.
Yeah. I mean, you can
But
always
I did
like,
not feel heroic. I don't
well, that's
feel
what I'm
heroic
saying. Like
looking back.
you lose a lot of agency.
Yeah.
So that you become a pawn in her, like, that's what I'm saying, like mood regulation tool, using the whole school to support this like theater of power of being like, I have the power to confer like the status of whether you rock by enlisting the chorus of your peers to tell you. It's a demonstration of power. It's not empowering. It's the opposite of the words of the message. The medium is like contradicts the actual letter of the message.
Yeah.
Because she's saying, I rock. This is how hard. Because if I can tell you that you rock, I can tell you that you don't rock. And you know that because I fucked with you for the last 4 months. And I mean, to me, that is so much of that, like all of the frustration comes down to that. I think there's, in my own life, still, when I struggle with self-sabotage, I wonder how much of it is just being like, sometimes I'm like, is it because I have to be a fuck up because Jamie told me like I must be? Or is it like I refuse to be successful because I don't want them?
Because they told you that you should.
Yeah. And it's because of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where that is, you don't have to go to Excel to feel that. I think like anybody from like a high pressure environment, that's why I think like this experience has something to offer more than just the alumni of the troubled teen industry. That's my hope.
Yeah.
But, you know, anyway. So I was just
But yeah,
curious about
and
that
the other
meta-narrative.
like dynamic. I mean, you know, you're capturing parts of it that like feel extremely true that I hadn't thought about before, and you know, I appreciate it. But the parts that I'd always like kind of focused on is just that's like the biggest encapsulation. But that last 2 weeks there was a lot of that. Like there's smaller examples. And it's part of like the pincher that they're like trying to put on these kids, of like the one side is like you're a piece of shit, you whichever student that fucked up, and like so they're going on about that, but then it's also like, and this guy's good, like he can do it, so why can't you? And like do it. Like never has any like fixed meaning or like basis in reality.
Right, because it just means they've been chosen to be the good one by them because
Like you are no better than the person, and like you know that, and like they know that.
Well, and the whole school knows it often by that point because the kid that they've decided is the paragon of being the best at that moment has at other times been the piece of shit.
Yeah.
And so we all know that we can all be pieces of shit, was actually not a bad lesson. And because I think we can also all be paragons, of doing better.
But there was always like a set kid, and so like they were like
was
the way
arbitrary.
The way that I talked about, definitely.
Yeah.
But the way that I talked about, like it's a toolbox, like that's a big part. Like you were being used as a hammer to like hit other kids.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So like that dynamic of it, I was deeply, because I mean, the fastest way to like for the hammer to be turned on you is to in those moments be like, actually, I think he's a good kid. Just let him off on this one.
No, dude. I mean, just sitting here thinking about
No, you
that.
just got to stand there and be like, she's right. Everything she's saying is correct.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When like it's a lie.
Did you ever? Because I remember the moment when we were having. I was there maybe like 4 months, 5 months maybe. And I was like, it was one of those, we had these more, it was like an emergency nighttime life skills.
The worst ones.
Yeah. And it was like, she wanted everyone to tell on everyone and get out all of the, another vocab term, negative contracts, which just means when you broke a rule with someone. Yeah,
that was like at least once a year, certainly more than that. More than once a year.
Yeah.
There would be I'm just, I'm saying my frequency, not saying like the frequency. It sounds like it was more
I think you
during
were more
your time.
in the institutionalization era.
Yeah, no, I mean like we can have episodes about the Aspen thing, but
I
during
can't wait.
the Aspen era, that
Yeah, yeah.
was more the case.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like the first 3 or 4 months there were markedly, obviously more extreme than. And I mean, like, it's weird because it's not like a clear line. Like, I think they took Aspen money. They distributed those Aspen shirts
Right.
like a couple weeks before I got there.
Okay.
So it's not like
God,
the
I wish
second
I had one.
that they distributed
That was
those
the
shirts.
episode we scrapped.
I know,
Oh, okay.
but I mean, I'm Aspen shirts.
Oh man.
Does that require more?
Yes.
I mean, I know
We'll
that
move
people. We're talking about the Aspen Education Group, which was propped up by. I mean, all their capital came from Bain Capital. Whenever the 2012 election is occurring, there was a brief storyline where Mitt Romney was being questioned for his involvement in Bain Capital and the kinds of things they were investing in. And I believe, maybe this is just my myopic interpretation of it, but I felt like the primary thing they were objecting to is that he was involved in the money that was being used to oppress children.
Really?
And, I was one of those children, so.
I the opposite, probably from the same solipsistic point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being frustrated that it wasn't a bigger deal. I remember people being a bigger deal was like they shut down Staples or something. I remember being like, who gives a fuck about Staples?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite possible. I mean, did not pay I paid some attention to the 2012 election, but.
I was living in hotels in 2012, so I would watch cable news every night and just like.
Why were you living in hotels?
Because I was working, so I was like doing like a lot of out of state litigation.
Yeah.
So I would just I would be living in like a Hilton Garden Inn.
You just put on CNN.
Fox News usually just to get the adrenaline going.
You don't have a better way to live your life? Like they have movies in hotels, you know that, right?
Well, they have HBO, which I would put on, but it's like, you can only watch so much.
That's not true.
Like I would get the TV and be like, oh, a movie's coming on. That's why I love Tower Heist so much, dude, because it was on HBO so much during that time. But it's great. We watched it over Thanksgiving. It's a Thanksgiving. It's
haven't had a chance to get to that one yet.
It's good, dude. Ratner's making a comeback, I read.
After the masturbating while holding shrimp cocktail incident?
I'm not familiar with that incident, dude. I think Ratner's come out pretty well.
I mean, you
actually,
said comeback. Like he
just hasn't made a movie. He got
because a woman gave a story about him fucking jerking off in front of her.
Oh, see, I'm not familiar with that.
He was holding a shrimp cocktail at the time.
Oh boy, what does that have to do with anything?
Shrimp in one hand, dick in the other, dude.
So, did he get his pants down with the non-shrimp hand, I guess?
I don't remember.
How fast are the pants coming down that he's not going to eat the shrimp?
I'm not going to be able to answer these questions
He's probably like you, hyper-focused, dude. He forgot he was holding the shrimp because he started beating off.
Yeah.
Well, I got to look into all this. Obviously, I'm learning of this on the air. This is the kind of real-time drama we have on Life Skills. But historically, I am a huge Bryan Singer fan.
Yeah.
I'm not going to burn my Rush Hour DVDs just yet.
Mm-hmm.
But Tower Heist is good, dude. There's a Trump figure. It's set in Trump Tower, basically.
Mm-hmm.
All-star cast. Hijinks. It's like an action comedy.
I remember the movie.
Beautiful artwork throughout.
It exists.
Yeah. It's great. Watching the credits, it's like the art consultant is like, I only know who he is because when Jay-Z got into art, he shouted him out. So it's like pretty good art consultant.
Yeah,
obviously. Gagosian, I think. Gagosian, something. Anyway, Tower Heist, dude. Highly recommend to this day.
I'm not going to see it.
Really? After all this? If it's just on, well, you don't flip through channels anymore, I guess.
Yeah. Who would? What kind of serial killer does that?
A guy in a hotel room in 2012?
But yeah, so I'm trying to remember. Okay. I think that we were at so we can start the next chapter here.
All right.
So at the end of my fall semester, my senior year, they announced that a former student, he was employed there, so I'm going to use his name.
Okay.
Zach Danzer, had completed college and was coming back, as an employee. And he was going to do some teaching. He's going to do watching the kids or whatever.
So this is your senior year.
Yeah.
And they told you this dude, Zach.
I mean, like, they just, like, they hired him. That's what I'm telling you.
You knew who Zach was already, or they were like, yo, we hired a dude?
Of course, like, was at school with his sibling.
Right. Okay. So that's what I'm getting.
And
so
he would come and visit his sibling, like, whenever they would have visits. Like, I'd seen him before.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
But I'd never had, like, a conversation with him. During the time he was a student, I was not there.
So he was not. He was more of a spoken of quality.
I knew who he was. I knew his brother very well.
Yeah, but you had not interacted with him.
And love his brother.
His reputation preceded him.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew who he was, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, I had known at the time, like, what college he was going to, stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But so they brought him back, and, like, in the interest of painting a full picture, like, the last one of the last It's Just Banters we did, I was talking about. That's the other podcast I do for people who only come to this for this.
Yeah, but you guys should check it out. It's great. As well as your other podcast, dude.
I got a lot, you know.
Yeah.
I got time.
If you want to know what's going on with Dallas politics.
Whatever. But so, you know, I was talking about how, like, whenever you're thinking about figures, like, in the media or anyone that you don't, like, know personally, you are allowed to have, and often do have, a one-sided opinion of them that's very flat. I can't have that about anyone that I actually know. Every single person that, like, even Jamie, I can remember, of course, like, moments of humanity.
Right.
Moments where I did feel in my heart, like, in her own fucked up way, that she cared a lot.
Sure.
And that she was, in her mind, trying to save me. Like, you would agree that you had those experiences?
Yeah, I always want to go what's below the desire to save, like, but I agree that that's what she believed, that's what she felt. If you gave her a lie detector test...
Obviously, we're not here to say that, like, she's a good person who, on balance, made good decisions.
And I feel like that's usually more, I feel like I'm the one doing that and then trying to walk that back. But, yeah, what I'm saying is if you gave her a lie detector test at that moment and said true or false, you are trying to reach these kids, you know, she would say, yes, how do I do it? You know, like, definitely, for sure. Yeah,
and so, you know, like, if I just talk about, like, the details of the story I'm about to tell, like, you know, I don't think people are going to walk away thinking that, like, Zach is a great guy, but, like, I don't know, dude. There's a lot of conversations I had with Zach that I really enjoyed. I've seen him time since then, and, you know, like, he's a nice guy. He has, you know, like, we like some of the same things, you know, like,
sure.
The point that I'm trying to make is not that Zach is an evil person.
I think,
but here's some things he did.
Yeah, no, I think it's good that you said that starting out. Yeah.
So we had this thing where Wednesday afternoons, like, after, it might have been the last 2 periods of the school day.
Hold
it was
up.
more than just a period.
I just want to say one more thing before you start that.
Go ahead.
You're talking about your only actual interaction with this guy.
What do you mean?
What you're about to say.
No, I mean, I had a million interactions with him.
But, like, this period of time that you just qualified by saying, I'm not trying to say he's evil. Mm-hmm. You're describing the time you actually knew him.
Well, no, I'm just saying if you have a perception of him based only on the things I'm about to say, you're going to think that he was bad.
Right. But what I'm getting at is, are you just describing what you actually know from the times you've interacted with him? I mean, because it's like...
I don't understand the question.
Well, I think one of the things I think that it's important, like, when you think about someone like Jamie, like, wanting to save you in the moment, you know what I mean? It's like, intention's important, sure. I think it is. I think people's motives are in many ways, like, one of the only interesting things to think about, like, when you try to figure out what happened and why, which is all I feel like I'm ever trying to figure out, like, half the time, of just, like, whatever interaction I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Fuck, I forgot where I was going with this. But my point is that only takes you so far. And so on some level, certainly when it comes to how you affect people who are vulnerable to you because they're on the other side of a power dynamic, you are what you do and you are how you affect those people. And so if you're coming back as an employee of a place that you know how it's operating, I'm not saying that Zach would say this, but any staff member ever, if we're talking about our own experiences, I think it's good that it came up with Zach because I don't think he's like in the top 10 most evil doers of Excel. But it goes
Agreed.
it goes for anybody, and also it's a spectrum of like honestly as a
What
kid.
are you saying?
Well, I'm just saying like you should be able to say how you felt because of the way someone treated you, and even if that means you felt bad, like part of the reason, like I don't think you ever finished your maternal grandmother's story, but like why it's rare is like that's the inquiry that people want to know about is like how did you feel. Because that's the hardest thing is it like you made me feel bad. To hear that someone that you were in charge of, that you thought you cared about, to actually hear them and empathize with them when they're telling you you fucked up and as a result I suffered, dude, is like, my daughter can't talk like that. But it's like, that's got to be the hardest thing you can ever hear, ever, as a parent, anybody who's like in charge of somebody, if you tried to do the right thing. You know what I mean? So I understand why you preface the story by saying that, but I don't think we should do that every time. I think it should be like, I'm glad you said it, but we're telling a lot of stories because we went through a lot. Like you were there 4 years, I was there almost that long. And it's like if you're a staff member.
Yeah, and I mean, I say 4 hours, a couple months short.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter to me.
Well, either way, like my point is, if you're hearing this being like he shouldn't tell this or that's not a full picture. This is a long podcast. We have plenty of time to give a full picture, but
And
you're allowed to talk about.
I'm not. At no point will I give a full picture. I will give it. I will give it as I saw it.
Well,
This
a full
is this
picture
is
of your
my experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Like yeah. No, I like as far as saying we don't need to do it every time. I know.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk. Like
I'm more just talking to anyone who's
if
listening
Zach
to
wants
this.
to start a
we're not-
podcast where he
Exactly,
explains
dude.
his side of it, like fucking
Exactly.
equipment is cheap, dude.
Exactly,
Like,
dude. Exactly. I'm more saying this to anyone who's hearing it to piggyback on you saying it.
Yeah.
We're not going to say it every time.
Yeah.
Because it's good that we've acknowledged it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Moving on.
So they had this thing where in the latter half on Wednesdays you would have like it was the same like group every time and like everyone had an activity. I'm trying to remember like what the other ones were and it's not coming to me. Like I guess maybe like that would be a time when kids like they at one point it was early in my stay, but I mean must have been 2 years in for you.
Yeah.
That they we're buying a bunch of goats.
I remember the goats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait,
and
you
so,
were there when we first got goats?
Yeah.
So you remember we had the goats sleep in the fucking dorm?
Absolutely.
That sucked. They were so annoying, man.
Some kids did love them though. Like
I
it was
know,
a baby
dude.
goat.
It was funny who responded to the goats. Didn't
It
they
was
wear
funny.
diapers?
Yes, they did.
And you had to feed them
Yes.
like little babies, man.
Yeah.
Like
out of a bottle.
It was like a weekend. Goats mature pretty fast.
That's
they were
true.
really cute when they were really small, but they got mean.
See, because you're right, there were kids who like absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I wasn't a big goat kid.
I mean, I had I
like, why are these
no
in the dorm?
interest. And so I have remained mystified to this day that sophomore year they were just like I did more to watch the goats than anyone else on campus.
Ooh.
Just about. It was awful. I hated it. I hate all those fucking farm animals.
Honestly, yeah.
They're terrible. Like
I'm very grateful I wasn't there
fucking
much during that era.
peacocks are nasty,
They had
nasty
peacocks?
animals. People don't
So
understand
what-
that.
So this
You
is,
were there this entire time. This is my sophomore year.
okay. So I'm not really. I
But
know
like you weren't hanging out in the ag
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
No one was.
That's what I'm saying. Tell
But fucking
me and the
and one other
listener,
kid.
like what the fuck is this?
It was 2 other kids. There's 3 of us
Because
that were
this came
assigned
out
to
of
it.
nowhere, man. Like I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure that they saw a movie or something. Like it had that kind of like JJ, like I'm feeling myself. I've got an idea. I'm gonna heal these
Yeah.
kids through animals.
Yeah, I really yeah.
Like how people would talk about like equine therapy.
So they bought the mini horses. Were you there for that?
Of course.
Dude, I had to go.
They were there with the goats.
I had to go to the mini horse farm.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Because so this was when this was all rearing up, dude. So because I think
So
one
to
of,
speak.
yeah. Yeah. One of their kids was into the horses, but he wasn't like super studious.
Uh huh.
And so I had to go. It was let me ask you this, because I mean, believe it or not, I'm not Mr. fucking Animal Farm. You know, also. I like my
didn't wanna
dog.
be.
Yeah, yeah. It's just not really my thing. I felt like
I
I was
hated
being
that
put
shit.
into a square peg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were just like, again, isn't this a cool thing that you get to do?
And it just seemed like
And I
there
was
were
like, it's
other
not
people who
cool.
would have liked it.
Oh, I think, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Do people like mini horses like that? Or is that like a weird. I
Some
don't
people
know.
do.
I mean, clearly there's a market for them because these people were selling them like for a living.
Yeah.
So that's what I had to go to the place. And I remember I had like a legal pad and I had to take all these notes because that was my responsibility to earn the right to go on this cool trip that I really would never want to go on. Is like, I had to like.
It pains me to hear you complaining about the opportunity to get off-campus trips.
I was so
you
fucking
did that with the
over it,
fucking
dude.
mall too. Like,
Yeah, dude. I'm not being
if you
too
could get
cool for
one
this shit.
fucking step off of the campus, like that was a big deal. It was awesome. There wasn't a single time that it happened that I didn't enjoy it. Like
I did it so much, dude.
fucking doing dinner theater for elderly homes. I was like, thank God we're not in a fucking Excel.
Were you? Yeah. See, I was over all that, dude. I didn't care about any of
It's
that.
not like I wanted to do it, but I wanted to do it more than I wanted to be there.
Almost every time we did something, I just felt like I would rather read a book in the lodge because this is like just a glimpse of a life I'm not living, and it's not enjoyable.
Nah,
When
the
we
glimpse
watched,
is the only thing that keeps me going, dude.
I think we saw Spider-Man when I graduated high school.
Yeah, I remember that.
And during that week, we went to Starbucks once or twice, and we saw
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
I haven't thought about that
was
in so
sick,
long.
dude. I liked that. Did you
Yeah.
go see Spider-Man?
Of course not.
Okay. I thought
was
it was
just the
the
kids who
seniors.
graduated.
Yeah. That I won't complain about. That's one of my favorite movies still. I really enjoyed it. That was like age appropriate and fun with my friends, honestly. And
Yeah.
it was a nice, refreshing day out. That was a nice moment. I'm not complaining about that. But almost everything else was like, I have to pretend to be happy to go see Rugrats in Paris, dude. I don't want to see it.
I would have been happy.
I have to pretend to be happy to go see Space Cowboys, dude. I don't. It's a dumb use of time. I'd rather.
Compared to what,
learn
dude?
my
I know that
SAT
you said
words.
like
I don't
read
know.
the fucking book at the lodge, but
You know,
I don't know.
wink at the girls. I really
incorrect.
have no idea, dude.
just incorrect. But yeah, so some kids were watching the fucking ag animals or whatever, presumably during this time. I don't remember. Like it was just you had clubs, activities, something.
Yeah.
And
This is all Aspen money coming in, I think, a little
yeah,
bit.
but I mean,
right?
this
Yeah,
is my
yeah.
senior year, so you're
Oh,
long
okay,
gone.
okay,
You're,
okay.
fucking halfway through college.
Yeah.
And
Learning
so
about peacocks.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
And for the seniors, like especially, it was the seniors who were going to leave. Because I remember asking someone about, like, you remember when this happened? And they were like, no, because I wasn't there, because I knew I wasn't leaving. But so for the seniors who were about to leave, we would do a weekly thing with Zach, where he, as someone who had left, would go through it with us. Like, these are some things that I ran into that were difficult.
Yeah.
Here's how I handled them. One very interesting, like, this doesn't have anything to do with the story, but we got assigned to read, like, by him, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
He loved that book. Yeah.
But it
It
was
big.
It was a quiet thing where it was like, don't let anyone else see this. Because, like, he had approval to give it to us, but, like, they didn't want it going past those people.
Why?
Because
That was general circulation in my day.
it's a manual on how to manipulate.
No, I get what you're saying.
Absolutely is.
Well, my
It's
take on
just
manipulation, dude.
Yeah,
It's
whatever.
just emotional, goal-directed
But you know what
emotional
their fucking
intelligence.
take on it is, and you know what that book
Yeah,
describes how to do.
They felt like this is what we do at times. And these kids shouldn't know how to do this because it'll like make them more effective at advocating for themselves. That's
Yeah.
what I think. Like manipulation is such a loaded term. I get that you're using it the way they use it,
Yeah.
but I just want to say for the audience, it's a good book, dude. It's not. There's nothing wrong with reading it.
Of course, it's an amazing book.
Yeah.
What from my statement would have said otherwise?
Well, you were like, it's a textbook on manipulation, which I guess it kind of is, but like,
yeah, so
his
that's
main-
why you should read it.
his main points are like, you should smile, you should listen to people, you should, is throw down a challenge to get people to rise to the occasion. You know, it's like
You're
pretty
not
good
like
public speaking advice.
You're literally everything you're saying is true. You're not speaking truthfully about that book. He's so much more eloquent than that. Like,
No, throw down a challenge is like the name of a chapter, I think.
yeah, no, like I said, everything you're saying is true.
Yeah, dude, my dad used to make me like read this, and like, I mean, I'm there. I think Zach.
But it's
has
a good
the
book with
same
a lot
background.
of fucking like insight into the way the like human incentives work. That
I
like
agree.
they did not want you thinking along those lines. Like,
That's wild to me that they who made this call, dude? This is like
I don't know, ask Zach.
it's
I'm
just
not
very-
involved in those
I bet
conversations.
Zach did, dude, to make it seem cooler. I bet coming in, it was Zach being like, we shouldn't let this be full circulation.
But
Because it wasn't Christie.
Mike Morrissey, who is by far the most manipulative person I've ever met in my entire life.
No, dude, he's the best waiter of all time, dude.
Yeah,
It's
because
the
he's,
same,
because
exactly,
he's
dude. It's not manipulative. He just knows how to get along with people.
Whatever. Spend 5 minutes around him, and you'll figure out what I'm talking
Dude,
about.
just for the audience, I mean, should we talk about the waiter story real quick? I mean, this guy is
Done.
clearly
Yeah,
an
do it.
amazing waiter. I
Oh,
got
he is.
a text message. I think I've told you this.
In college, he was making like, I don't know, I don't want to speak out of turn. I might be way wrong here, but I think it was like $60K.
Yeah.
Just like in between classes working as a waiter.
I fully believe it, dude. This is how good at connecting people, at connecting with people this guy became. And I'm sure Dale Carnegie had something to do with it since he came up now. I had a friend in college. No, I was like out of college. I was like in law school or living here working. But a friend from college, this guy was so good at connecting with people as a waiter that somehow, it's not like I had ever told anyone I knew after Excel about a dude named Mike Morrissey. No offense. We said his last name already.
Yeah.
But my point
I don't
is,
think that you were there with him, were you?
yeah, I was.
Okay.
Because I taught him, dude. That's what came up. Dude, I taught the ninth graders. That's what I thought it was just eighth graders, but I taught ninth graders too.
See, I don't think he came in ninth grade. I mean, he might have needed
Dude,
a
this
class.
is a text message I got. This is what I'm saying, dude.
okay.
He, this is how did he make this connection with a dude at a restaurant? I don't know. So my friend was at his restaurant. Mike was his waiter.
Yeah.
And somehow they connected to the point where they realized that they both knew me.
That's insane.
How the fuck did I still don't have the full like rundown of how that happened.
I mean, I guess like your friend knew that you went to Excel.
Yeah, but how did like Mike bring that up
Yeah.
as a waiter?
I've never
Dude,
known. I've
how
never
did you
known
do
where a
that?
single one of my waiters went to high school.
You know what I'm saying?
Not a one.
And it's like, it's somehow, what it could have been is somehow it's like, are you from around here? And he's like, yeah, but not really. And then my friend knows that I went to a weird school. And he's like, tell me more about that. Did you know a guy? Actually, now that we're talking about it, that actually.
Now you're not
that
impressed?
Could happen. I'm still very impressed.
I'm
dude.
pretty impressed.
To have the comfort level to engage in that. So then I get a text and it's just like, did you ever know a guy named Mike Morrissey? He says you were like one of his teachers at Excel. And I was like, holy shit. Now that you say that guy's name, I do remember that dude's name. Like, I remember him as like a cool guy. But it like blew my fucking mind. So obviously this guy connects with people is what I'm saying. He knows how to talk to people. The book has helped him.
Like
It's a helpful book.
Like I said, he's
I think it was Zach
he's a
trying
good
to be
friend.
cool.
He was in my wedding. But like, you know, like the reason that I love him is that I enjoy like how nakedly other people are just so obviously like fucking tools in this game that Mike is playing
Sure.
with himself.
Okay.
And you know, I mean, like, I think he's an exceptional dude.
Yeah.
And I will hope that everyone gets the opportunity to fucking like watch him work.
Yeah, sure.
But like it's all like he read the Dale Carnegie and stuff and was like, finally the fucking ultimate weapon that I've been looking to unlock.
Whoa, dude. Okay.
And he like taught the classes. Like he took the classes and then he taught the classes.
Wait, at the Carnegie Institute, like
Yeah.
in the real? Oh, well,
Like
dude, we got to do an episode on them.
Okay.
Dude, I know a couple.
I'm not
people
too
that-
familiar.
Yeah, well, it's a scene, man.
But
That's pretty tight. I didn't know that Mike did that.
But he was like certainly one of the ones that Zach was talking about that was not supposed to read the book.
That's funny, dude.
But he was so singularly dedicated to learning more about manipulation that he was
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I'm just going to figure out how to get that book.
Fuck yeah, dude. That rules.
I remember like I didn't like he was a close friend of mine. I was not going to like turn him in for it.
Right.
But I kind of was like, are you worried about like getting in trouble from someone else because you're definitely not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was like, I'll just tell him I like reading or something. Like, I don't know. He had some kind of, I wish I did, because the whole fucking value of the story would be the specific thing he came up with. But I do remember being impressed by it.
It was a weird thing. Nobody, like, there were so many rules against reading, but there were very few instances where a kid had to tell their parents, like, I got in trouble for reading.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a weird tension. It's a school.
Yeah.
You know, but Jamie fucking hated books.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we got it. Now's not the time. But
so Zach is doing these Wednesday afternoon meetings where he's, you know, giving us pointers.
the secret knowledge.
Yeah, and teaching, like, reviewing the Dale Carnegie book. We're reading it together. And at one point he comes in and he's like, I've got a movie to show you guys that I think we all can learn from.
Okay.
And so we're in I'm trying to, like, we were in the dorm. Like, the dorm that they built, like, just the steel siding.
The quad dorm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that where these Wednesday sessions were? That's where I'm picturing them. Like small groups in the dorm.
But, like, I don't know why, because I think the kids were, like, still sleeping in there.
Yeah, but, like, during the day, they would be, like, small groups would go, like, huddle up in one of those in the quad dorm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that started, like, as I was leaving.
And it had been a while since I had actually lived there.
So you were in, like, the Jamie old house dorm?
Yeah, there was a double wide that whenever I got there was kind of like the house where staff lived, the staff that had to be on campus.
Yeah.
But then they moved it and built like a house there, so they moved it a little further into the woods, and that's where. Did you live there your last?
Yeah, so
couple months?
I was part of the group that put down the floorboards there and in the mansion and painted during my last like year.
And then you did live there, right?
Yeah, that's where like I would watch the NBA Finals and American Idol, like.
And like that's where you picked the guy up from.
Yeah,
to go get him drunk.
So that was the one. I don't know when they moved that house. I'm not sure exactly when that happened. So
they moved that house early, like sophomore year for me.
Okay.
And then built Doug and Sherry's house.
Yeah.
But then it was just kind of sitting up there doing nothing, rotting, and then they had to have you guys rehabilitate it. That would have been like my end of sophomore, beginning of junior year.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, so when it was back in the woods, that's where we picked the kid up. Yeah. It was like the one that was moved back. Not that's
the one I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, me too. Yeah.
So I that's where I lived. Dude, it was like I'd been there so long that like it made sense to move me up there as a junior, but I was like one of maybe 2 juniors.
And the rest
that
were
was
seniors?
up there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then so at some point I think that they just like didn't have enough strength in the like middle group. And so they knocked me back down for like a month or 2.
Oh.
That sucked.
Yeah.
So bad.
I bet.
Because there was a lot of stuff that they let them do up there that like they were under strict, like don't tell anyone. Like one of the kids' parents paid for a Sports Illustrated subscription.
Whoa.
We had fucking SI, dude. And that was like extremely formative for me. For whatever reason, like
the Rick Rileys, I bet.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, who's a more risible figure these days?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
He's just a fucking
people
punchline.
Don't get it back in the day.
They do not.
Yeah, I agree.
He had a column about the Jason Williams that shot his driver.
Sure.
Like the whole
he
thing.
Was in that.
Yeah. Like it happened in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And the whole column was like, you know, a lot of people talking about Jason Williams. A lot of people talking about like, you know, didn't he, whatever. I'm here to tell you about Gus. And it was just like fucking. This is the dude who's dead now.
Dang.
This is who loved him.
Shout out.
This is what he
dude.
did.
Yes.
It was an amazing, moving fucking column in my memory, at least.
Sounds like it.
But yeah, and it was weird because the kid whose parents had sent those had sent them at a time before I got there. So they were all like 6 months old by the time I got there.
Dude, reading old magazines is another thing I feel like kids these days don't really get, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll tear through old magazines like back in the day. And that's how I know who fucking Rick Riley is, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, dude, definitely.
But yeah, so...
dude, we weren't allowed to read media. Yeah, I don't think the audience really gets that,
we had National Geographic.
Yeah, we had a big collection of National Geographics in the school.
We read a lot of encyclopedias
Yeah, except for the entry with Colts that got taken away.
with Colts. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Once a kid was like, huh.
Don't ask any more questions.
But I remember like when we had to like, do the art therapy and we would do collages. Miss Ann who was the art
I
therapist.
barely remember all that, but yeah, go ahead.
So they bounced Miss Ann out, dude? That
No,
I will not
no,
stand
I feel
for.
like she was there, but she wasn't doing that.
So you didn't do the art therapy on
I did.
Fridays?
But like
I think that was big for insurance. Like it was
for like just my freshman year.
oh, really?
I don't remember doing it much past that.
I got the feeling that Miss Ann was like writing a report every week for every kid, being like they did good in art therapy this week, and like kids were getting insurance paid for that.
No,
Like,
and had
this
had
is
a
all
very
speculation for me. But
and it's definitely a situation where they wanted to be able to be like I think that this is in like the notes from my folks of like them asking like, is there therapy? And they're like, yeah, we have a therapist.
yeah, it's Miss Ann, dude.
Yeah.
Who would? Oh, and she would take notes like one life skills a week at least when I first got there.
That's wild. Yeah,
And
no,
think it was for
I
that
like
same
half
reason.
remember that.
Yeah. And there was an off-campus psychiatrist that would like adjust the kids' medicines and stuff.
He would like come into the office every once in a while.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
be like,
yeah,
more
yeah.
pills for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I went to his office a few times, not as a patient, but with a kid.
Yeah, I don't.
It was in the
I never
Woodlands.
interacted.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a psychiatrist.
Anyway. But yeah, so we've got this situation where Zach comes in and he's like, "You guys want to watch this movie?
Oh yeah, what was the
This will
movie?
teach you some things." Movie was the film Suicide Kings.
Never seen it.
We should watch it.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's got Christopher Walken.
I was gonna say,
Like,
that's
have you
the one
seen a
thing I
bad
know about
Walken
him.
movie?
Yes, many.
No.
I mean,
lies.
No movie is made worse by Christopher Walken being in it. That I agree with.
Yeah.
But I think he like famously will take whatever, like if the
And
price is
turns
right.
them all into gold.
Yeah. But he's not like, yeah, for sure, his parts in them. Yeah. Anyway,
So
I'm just pleased no one did a Walken impression during this.
it's the movie
little
Suicide
exchange.
Kings, and so we're up in the dorm.
So what's the movie about?
I have seen it since Excel. I'm not going to be able to walk you through it. It's one like
Like a crime thriller?
it's definitely some people who watched Tarantino and had some ideas.
It's like an
early
edgy turn of the
Tarantino.
millennium take on
I mean, I think it
Tarantino?
was made before. I think it was in the 1990s. I think.
Suicide Kings, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, this is 2005 when I'm watching it, so it's
Yeah,
not like that
yeah,
would have
yeah.
been hard to
Yeah.
reach back into.
We could ask Siri right now. I'm not saying we should.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, so it's they need money for something. There's a group of friends
Yeah. Okay.
who have a need for money. They kidnap Walken, who I think is like a crime boss,
Oh.
but like they might not understand that. Like they know
They're
he's
in over their
rich.
heads a little bit.
Yeah,
So it's like a bumbling crime caper a little bit.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Classic.
Yeah, they're trying to shake down Walken.
Like lay a cake.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And so
Do they reference what a suicide king is?
yeah, are you
Okay.
familiar?
I know the card,
That's what it is.
like
yeah.
the head. Sword.
In playing cards, there's the kings that have like the swords down, and then kings that
Yeah.
have the swords to the side. The ones with the sword to the side are known as Suicide King.
Very rich thematic imagery.
Yeah.
I gotta see this thing.
It's good.
It sounds great. Who else is in it? I know this
I don't
isn't
remember.
part of the story. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. I
Yeah.
don't mind questions
Well, I
about the
think
story.
The movies were so weird there, and honestly, I mean, I don't want to make this a Zach episode, but he loved movies. That to me, like,
Oh, 100%. Like whenever I was saying like Zach and I have connected over things, I was thinking of movies.
he's a big fan of movies.
Like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
took a lot of movie classes, or maybe a movie class.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
would be talking about like in my movie class,
Oh, really?
And,
Like,
and
he
I
took
and I
movie
loved
classes
those
at college?
conversations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like was just like kind of like glimpsing a wider world of like what actual criticism is like.
Sure. Yeah.
That was probably kind of my first exposure to it,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
grateful for him giving me that.
Definitely.
But yeah, so we watch this movie.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the exact like where the parameters are. So there's certainly a scene where a guy like takes a toaster and like wraps the cord around his hand and just like beats the shit out of someone with his toaster.
That is cool.
It's exceptionally violent. It is fucking gnarly. It is great.
Just quick aside, that reminds me of Tenet, dude, the kitchen fight. Doesn't he use a toaster in Tenet?
That sounds right.
Do you think it was an homage?
Could be.
Dude, that now I gotta check out. Maybe I'll finally understand Tenet if I watch it again. Dude.
I mean, I felt like I got it. So maybe it was that Suicide King's background.
Could be. Anyway.
But yeah, so there's that. There's drinking at times.
In the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that they smoke weed. I think they have cigars.
Cigars. Okay.
Yeah.
We got nudity.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it's an edgy movie. It's a movie about people in the underbelly, right?
Sure.
And so we watch the movie. It's done. Lights come up. He's like, what did you guys take away from that? I was trying to teach you a lesson. Does anyone have any guesses as what the lesson was?
Uh-huh.
And so we lead guided discussion for half hour or whatever. And I don't remember if he said something. I don't think that he did. I think that then it was we're done with whatever and it's time to go to life skills.
Uh-huh.
And the second we walk up to life skills, it's...
So you leave the dorm to walk to the lodge with your group of seniors to a life skills of the whole school?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's important, it wasn't in the lodge anymore.
Oh, maybe that's not important.
It was they kind of switched to an open air. Like
an amphitheater?
No, the office had steps up to it. Since it's double wide, so she would kind of stand they had kind of had an expanded
so
deck.
It was outdoor life skills?
Yeah,
that rules.
And she was elevated above everyone.
That's
standing
so
on
sick,
this deck.
dude. Oh my
God, you just
that's so funny.
Indian style, fanned out around the office.
That's like Apocalypse Now shit, dude.
Yes.
That fucking rules, dude.
That's why I did want to take the time to tell. Whenever I have that memory of everyone saying "you rock," it's her standing on that stage and all the kids sitting down
Tribunes.
in the dirt, fucking turned around
yeah,
you
Hail
rock,
TC. Fucking rules, dude.
It does, and I mean,
Jamie's face is painted in this scenario for me.
Dude, and it's not markedly different conditions than the Vietnam jungle. Houston is
hot, dude.
It's hot. I don't care. It is the most humid experience I've ever whenever I think Houston's a cool city. I like visiting Houston. It's fine.
Sure. Shout out
and
Houston.
Whenever I think about the possibility of living there, I'm I start shuddering. Just from March to November, you're sweaty the entire time, and I really don't sweat. That's one of the few gifts that God has given me is in
sweat.
normal times I really don't.
Interesting.
But fucking
you sweat in H-Town.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be because I have a specific memory of visiting Mike and we were at a bar by his apartment. It was in March and it was outside. I was just sitting at a table outside and was just fucking dripping sweat. And I remember that at Excel too. During not middle of the summer.
Yeah.
Because there was a time whenever some the way that we had those times at Wednesdays, we had one that was a physical activity kind of thing, where you would get out of school and kids would play ultimate frisbee on that field that Pops made.
Fuck yeah.
And
I loved the frisbee sesh.
As a senior, I had a lot of work to do,
Yeah.
So most of the time it'd be I would just kind of be on the side, doing my homework while other people were doing that. And I would just be fucking, it was I was in a pool, just... and I mean, I wasn't moving. I was just sitting there, writing on a piece of paper, and I can't stop the sweat from pouring off me. It's awful.
Yeah.
And so that's where she's just standing outside, standing on the fucking thing as you're all got it just dripping down your neck.
So you're all having to sit Indian style, on the ground?
Yeah.
Or
yes.
there's a deck, you said?
They kind of built out one.
Wow. That's awesome. So it's like a concert almost, like you're waiting there, or like a Trump rally.
A little
you
bit.
know, there's like a buzz.
Because they
like-
would definitely assemble all of you.
Of course, dude.
And then she's like working out some business in the office.
Of course, dude.
And sometimes it takes like an hour.
She's never waiting for you.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, exactly. Yeah. It's like it's all the same stuff. It's just very evil when used to these ends.
But so we, are walking down from the dorm.
That I think it is important. So you're walking down from the small group where you were having this intelligent discussion on the many lessons of Suicide Kings.
Yes.
Just Zach's leading the discussion.
Zach's conspicuously staying out of way of leading the discussion.
Oh.
Zach's asking us, like, what did you take from it?
Okay.
And then, like, someone would say what theirs was. And then he'd be like, well, what about you? What did you think about it?
Okay.
And then he's like, okay. And we get out and walk to life skills. And when we approach the life skills, she stops everything she's doing. And she's like, I think she asked Zach, so what happened?
Uh-huh.
And he kind of gave the thumbs down.
Oh, I'm getting so upset, dude. He was like,
It didn't, we were,
They are who we thought they were.
It was a test. They were setting an intentional trap for us. That what we were supposed to do is at the end of that movie, we were supposed to stand up and tell a staff member.
Yeah. The goat,
this is inappropriate and I shouldn't be watching this.
So not
in
even
the context of a class about him teaching us this is the right way to do it. So we're looking at him like that fucking guy. I don't think that story's in there, but teach us, Jamie.
Oh yeah. We have to bring that one back at the right time. Yeah.
But we're just staring up at him expectantly, teach us, Zach. We know it's hard. We know we might die. We know we might go to jail. Fucking just give us the secrets.
The group is for the kids who are preparing to leave into this horrible world.
Yes.
Where you might die if you don't work
Nothing but
the
danger.
program.
And we're telling him all right, what do we need to know?
You've also been
and he's
socialized
watch
for 3
this movie.
years. Well,
then we're supposed to tell him no, dude, that was wrong. Turn that movie off.
No, I would say it's even worse because I would say not even if he's right, it shouldn't even be at the end of the movie. It should be whenever the inappropriate scene happens.
100%.
And you've just spent 3 to 4 years.
That is what we got ripped for. The fact that it didn't stop.
Exactly. So it's not even at the end, you shouldn't have been that was messed up. You should have been the whole plan, guy who was in charge of me, at this place that has socialized me to view you as an emissary of the real God of this place, Jamie and or Sally. And I have been told that my life will instantly just be wrecked if I so much as take the wrong tone with any staff member. Now the lesson that I have to learn ostensibly is that I'm bad because I didn't do that when I was called into a special group that I was told was expressly designed to work me into the more edgier aspects of the real world. It's fucking bullshit. It's a double bind. It's setting you up to fail. The real lesson is that you're a piece of shit. I just hate this kind of shit, dude. And these little tests, man. It's who the fuck are you, dude? But that's the real answer. Is they're working out their own issues on children in their care. And they're we're going to trick them. And aren't they going to feel small? And aren't we going to be really powerful and important?
Their main project, everything.
Games?
Yeah, you're exactly capturing it. It
just upsets me, dude.
You're precisely right. Their main project over the fucking previous 4 years was to get me so that I did not when I came in, all I did was question authority.
Yeah,
but they
that's why you
beat
were
it the
there.
fuck out of me.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they're like, why didn't you do it? Because you fucking told me that, because you said it was my fucking life.
Yeah.
Whether or not I listened to this man and took him seriously.
I'm trying to think
And then
of
you were like, why'd you listen to him and take him seriously? I cannot obviously, it's
yeah.
It's a lot.
It's it's a gaslighting or a double bind or crazy making cognition where it's we're telling you a thing that you actually shouldn't have thought. that we're now saying you should have thought it. For the last 4 years,
And we would have gotten you in trouble for thinking it.
for sure, dude.
But why didn't you think
What if you had done that during it? Like during the movie, if you were like, whoa, dude, walking is out of line, man. Stop the movie, Zach.
And I want to be clear, it's not
Zach
a
would have
movie
been
where
like,
people
"Oh,
smoke
shit."
crack.
I know, dude. That's what I was going to say to you. What kind of movie would it take sitting there with a staff member? Would you have to be watching to be like, we shouldn't be watching it, short of pornography?
Like, I think if they put on Blow,
The movie, be like, actually, we should, you know what?
this feels wrong.
Yeah, it would have to be something like that.
But Zach even had a line of like, you know, the reason I chose this movie is because it's right on the borderline. And that's what you got to be ready for. You got to be ready for the times that it's not obvious.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you got, like whenever your friends, like really what they wanted us to do, what I think that he was saying that he had done was that if he's like in the college dorm and someone puts this on, that like you stand up and be like, guys, we shouldn't watch this.
Yeah.
This is bad for us. It's corrupting us.
Interesting. Dude, that's funny when you put it that way. That reminds me. So I had my roommate in my freshman year of college was more sheltered than me because I wasn't sheltered like before Excel, but Excel was obviously in its way a sheltered or stressing environment. But I had another like Christian friend and I was constantly giving him trigger warnings for Sopranos because I was like, I had never seen Sopranos, but it was like set in New Jersey during the time when I was exiled from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. So I was like eating it up.
Yeah.
But I would always be like, dude, I'm just saying there's like a strip club, that they hang out at. It gets pretty racy. And eventually he was like, you don't have to keep telling me that. But like he didn't like stuff like that, like I don't know. So it was like, now I'm wondering, like, was it that my own way of being a Zach?
Yeah. I don't know.
I myself was loving Sopranos. Like I was just like, in case you're a weirdo like Zach, this episode has titties.
Yeah, no, I got a Sopranos DVD. I think that was among the first blockbuster run upon leaving Excel.
Yeah, yeah.
I've heard a lot about this. Let's see what the deal is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get down there. They yell at us for doing what the staff member told us to do explicitly. And that is not why I got jumpsuited.
Okay.
Why I got jumpsuited, because it's not like everyone did. I think that all of us got put on some level of consequence. Certainly got yelled at.
Yeah. Maybe you all had to work or something, like a work detail.
I don't think so.
That seems like a work detail punishment to me.
I think it was just yelling. But
sorry to stretch while you talk.
No, you're fine. Doesn't bother me.
Okay.
But so as they're kind of like having this further discussion, like as Zach is, I think this is the venue where he would be saying like I chose this because it is borderline. There was a girl who was leaving that was like, yeah, I kind of did feel that. And at this point, what is literally going through my head is like, I've got to be so on my toes.
Yeah.
They just showed me how duplicitous they're willing to be. Like, everything's a test. I need to approach this like a test. Like, what they're saying is that, they're talking about this situation where you're supposed to stand up and, like, speak harsh truths to your peers about, like, we can't watch Suicide Kings, guys. Like, this is going to fuck us up.
Right.
And so I'm like, all right, I want to like show them that I've understood that as quickly as I possibly can. I want to get done with this feeling that I don't have it handled, and I want to get to the feeling where I feel like I have it handled as quickly as I possibly can. So I'm like, actually, you know what? We had a discussion after that movie, and I'm just telling you guys, like, honestly, she wasn't saying any of that then.
No, you wasn't. I mean, say, yeah.
Like,
you weren't saying that.
Because I think that Zach was, like, kind of letting her get away with it. Like, kind of being like, well, I guess if you sort of took a certain view of some of the comments she had made in, like, the, what do you guys think? What did you learn from it conversation? But I'm like, what she did not do was, like, this is more in my head. She did not fucking say, turn it off halfway through. And then she did not at the end stand up and say, like, we shouldn't have watched this, Mr. Zach. How could you let us do this?
Yeah.
It was more like her being like, I did feel weird at parts. Like, that's as far as she got.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of like, I don't know, dude. Like, you are, we haven't even really gotten into life skills mechanics, and I'd like to.
Yeah, I know.
But like, it is a culture built around calling out each other. Like, what you're supposed to do is tell on the other kids, and so it was pretty common
but I
for
would
them.
say it was always like kind of a top-down implicit.
Absolutely, but this is a situation where like
I
they're
think
telling me
you're
it's not.
leading that,
Yeah.
like that it actually. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like part of the frustration here is like you don't have the ability to do any kind of call out. Like, it almost sounds like you're like panicking because you're in trouble.
Oh, certainly.
And you're like,
God, I'm panicking.
How do I get to a place where I at least know what's going on or the record is straight? You know, like there's safety in the truth, which there is, dude. I mean, I sometimes like
And
suggest.
by any reasonable definition, she did not pass any tests that we failed.
Yeah.
She failed in the exact same way that we did.
I think some of the frustration comes not just from that, like hypocrisy or whatever. I mean, she's a student too, going through her own things, but it's like
Sure.
we're adults now looking back.
And I
saying
like
that.
her.
Yeah. But like in
just
the
this one
moment, it's like,
situation.
shut the fuck up. You know, like, no,
Yeah.
you weren't.
Yeah.
But, damn, I lost my train of thought, dude. Anyway, my fault,
Sorry.
dude. No, this is my
I
fault.
think you're
I think it was.
reaching the end of the point.
Yeah, I was going somewhere big, but you know, I'm a abundance mentality with ideas,
Okay.
dude. So if they're good, they'll come back.
But yeah, so, I say the bit of like, yeah, it just doesn't ring true to me. I don't think that she's being honest. They were like, why are you picking on her? I think that some kid was like, yeah, dude, he's always picking on her.
Oh,
I think one of the girls was like alleging that like I was attempting to be cruel to her because like that's a pattern where like I don't like her, and like that's like not true. Like she was also in debate. Like we would go to like the tournaments. Like also she got there probably 4 or 5 months after me.
Oh, really? Okay.
And was in my grade. So like every class I took in all of high school, she was in.
Did you guys like kind of bicker at all?
Like
I had kids, including girls, who I sometimes would have a little back and forth with.
I mean, like we were both in debate club, you know?
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
maybe you guys, because I think I know who you're talking about, and I can imagine how you two would relate to each other, and I could see how an outsider.
But of course, you know that that's like a misunderstanding by the outsider.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
could see how it would be like, you should hear the way they talk to each other.
But so
it's
someone
like-
did. Someone
Yeah,
who didn't
yeah,
understand
yeah,
what they were
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about didn't let that stop them from running their mouth.
Why not? Especially if you can get some points, dude. Because it's like sometimes
so
people
I-
would just sense TC's weak. Let me throw in a little shot.
100%.
Because it's almost like sometimes
Absolutely.
Jamie would be spiking it up, like who wants to hit the volleyball back
Yeah,
down?
yeah, because it's like we're calling out like it's time. I want to fuck with this kid.
Knives out.
Who's
dude.
going to give me the material? Like, and then
Yeah.
of course you will be rewarded for that.
Yeah. I can't believe how heavily we read The Crucible at the school as we're sitting here talking about that. Because we read The Crucible like in at least 2 classes. Anyway,
But
that
yeah,
rules. That's it.
so that was I got jumpsuited off of that.
For being mean to this girl
Yeah.
in the heat of the dude. Yeah. Okay, that's incredible. All I was gonna say is I do think my point.
Well, I
was,
remember the 4th time I got jumpsuited.
Nice. I think the frustration is learning that like your desire to like set the record straight and tell the truth is not always going to save you, because sometimes the people who say that they're about truth actually aren't. And it's like you can actually, by speaking the truth too candidly, really get yourself like hit with some pretty serious aggression back.
But that's the kind of thing a fucking 17, 18-year-old's just not going to grasp.
Shit, I mean, I have trouble with it now, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
That's some of the stuff when I'm like, I can't get into it with why I got fired right now. It's like, because I'm still sorting some of that stuff out.
Yeah.
But it's the same stuff. So anyway, what's the next time?
I mean, let's call this an episode. I think we've been going
Oh,
for a
yeah,
while.
I can't see the clock when we do it this way. So
Yeah.
you're the boss on.
I think we're good.
All right.